Just, I think of an update on the microphones. So we had to change them because of the problems we were having last time. So if you don't see a green light, it's not a big deal. When you start talking, it'll come on all by itself. They're voice activated. Yep, they're voice activated. So if you don't see the green light, it's fine. Just go ahead and talk.
Usually if I don't have a green light, I run it.
Why is yours, is it on? It doesn't matter, we can have up to 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Absolutely crazy.
Let me move in there.
We're working.
Let me move in there. Oh, no. Hello, Doug.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Seriously? Yeah, that's fine. Are we working? Yeah, okay.
I'm just trying to log in, so give me a minute. Hey, Bob.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you guys are matching today.
Sorry?
You guys are matching today.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Did you get the memo?
No.
It went on.
Well, maybe.
She's got the black dress, I got the black pants. I got both.
I got black slacks.
I didn't get the memo.
Well, that's because your wife doesn't let your clothes out for you.
A lot of truth to that.
We have that group text, you just text the colors, you know?
Yes.
I take no credit or blame. Well, Doug's got a purple belt, so he must have got the memo.
I could have worn a purple shirt. If someone would let me know.
Or if you watch the Buffalo Bills on Hard Knocks, this one guy, big player, and his wife, very fussy about folding clothes. So he shows up in camp, everything's nice.
That's it, Paul.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty funny. The camp is in Pittsburgh, New York, where my brother lives, at St. John Fisher College, University, yeah. But they stay in the dorm rooms there, it's hysterical. They put 2 beds together.
Well, I got the memo.
Thank you for your email about the e-bikes.
You're welcome, I just remember
I
seeing
won't have a
my.
chance to talk to you today, but thanks for keeping
You're
me
welcome.
informed.
Oh, yeah,
Appreciate
I
it.
think it's crazy they don't do this here.
Look,
I don't understand it.
it's
All
a
right,
big
good.
subject,
I'm
I'm
ready.
really into it. So.
Good for you. If I see any more, I'll let you know. Thank you.
All right, everyone, it's 2 o'clock. We'll go ahead and start this workshop. Do you want to take it, page 1?
You just explained the difference between the last one and this one.
The only thing that changed on the budget between last meeting and this meeting is PPAC did have a meeting since you guys met the last time. And what there's a $263,000 carry forward usage in the 002 fund. They have not voted on that yet. That came out of a discussion that they had at their last meeting. They wanted some time to think about it some more to see if they want to do it, if they want to do more, if they want to do less. How we got to the 263,000 was that they were aiming to have a 3% increase in the budget, and that was the magic number that got us to 3%. So that's the only line item that changed. It's on the 002 at the very bottom. It says use of carry forward 263. It may, and it's highlighted in yellow.
So can,
Hang on.
Page 14.
so can you,
So it's right here.
page 4,
Page 16. So it's this number right here. So we may not use carry forward. They may use reserves, but that was just like a magic number. It doesn't really matter at this point. At this point, before we actually adopt the budget, where I plug it in the bottom, what it does is it subtracts it from the bottom line. So that was the important part, was to get that number plugged in there to get it subtracted, to get to the bottom line, to get it to a 3% increase. So they are going to discuss it again next week at their meeting. So this again is just came out of a discussion. They asked if I would put it on there. I told them that was how I would present it to you, that's not their recommendation at this point. It's still being discussed.
Okay, it's not the final.
That is
the latest recommendation, but not
this
final.
This is as of the July meeting, but they didn't want to make their final recommendation until they meet next week. So that is
These calculations includes it.
correct. But that is the only change in the budget compared to what you guys approved. Everything else is identical. That one line highlighted in yellow is the only thing that's different than what we've been looking at since it was approved in June. I do have some homework to do for them.
So can we go back to the very first page where it outlines what all the assessments are going to be?
The table?
Yes, the very first,
Silo one
Page
or the
one.
other one?
the first one.
Page 1.
Right,
This one?
yes. Right. So with that one change, that 200 and
That made this.
that brings what was 12 point some odd percent down to 2.8%,
Correct.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then whatever
And
this
I
was down
see
to
that-
4.5.
And I see that the Gateway single family is still at 13%.
Because that won't affect Gateway because that's only Pelican's budget.
Right. So I guess I'd like to ask my fellow Gateway people, are you guys comfortable with 13%, or do you feel we need to bring that figure down also? Or just, I don't know what your feeling is.
Well, talking about the $40,000 for the cameras, if we take that out, that's going to be a reduction.
Yeah, but it's not going to be down to 3% or something like that.
We're just,
I just didn't know what your
Looking at
feedback had
$2,
been from the last meeting till now, from other people in the community as to if that's acceptable for them, a 13% increase or not, or what, or,
Historically, we have tried to manage in single digits. That has been the goal. And we've been able to do that for almost as long as I've been on the board.
With the first goal being what needs to really get done.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, I just want to make sure, because.
so we deferred some
Because
things.
there were
Because
previous
we all-
times
we
that
all-
we're like, set this, we're going to set the percentage and then we see what we can do with it. That's not
but
what
what
we
I'm
do.
saying, to answer Carol's question, what our goal, or at least I think our philosophy of the board has been to try to manage in single digits. But I think the guiding principle is we need to do what needs to get done, but that's where the rubber hits the road, and that can be subjective in the eyes of the residents versus maybe the board in some of those areas. But I think if there is any opportunity for us to stay within that single digit, I think that's just more palatable.
Okay.
But if you're talking about, 9% versus, 10 or 11 or 12, or let's say 13.
12, 13.
The significance of that is, might be nominal in the grand scheme of things. But, I mean, we can have that discussion on, if we want to try to stay true to 9%, how much of that would need to be shaved off the budget in order for us to achieve it?
Okay. So do we want Laura to start looking at things and?
Well, I'd love to just get to see
Okay.
what everyone else is. I don't want to speak for
Yeah,
everyone.
this is where we go through it one more time.
Right.
And decide what should be deferred or eliminated.
I don't think there's
Still the
any
same,
problem
the
with
dollar amount.
backing or trying to back into a goal of 9%, but we don't want to remove stuff that we feel is vital to the progression or whatever the needs are of the community.
Well, let's get it to numbers. Can you take, Laura, and if we say instead of go 9, 10, 10 is almost single digit.
Yes, I'm saying-
3%, what does it take for 13 to go to 10? 263,000 at Pelican took 13 to 3 to 2.8. So are we saying, and we have double the number of users basically, so are we saying that, this is pulling one out of the backside, $150,000 would reduce this from 13 to 10?
I would have to play with that, but I could calculate.
Yeah,
I
I'm
could
trying to figure out
What ballpark do we feel-
what, if you went to 10, what is the dollar value? Because I look at that thing that just blue in the face, and the regular operating, I just don't see it. The issue is paying for capital and what capital you're going to pay for. If
It would
you
be
want
nice
to
to
cut,
know-
that's where you're going to have to cut, in my opinion, is capital. I didn't see anything to do in operating. It's just not there.
It's what we,
In fact, if anything, the operating scares me a little bit with coming in with a new park and a new building and the O&M cost. Thank God we got a year to breathe before that hits us straight on. But right now, what number, if we would take and reduce the percent change from 13 to 10, how much cash equivalent would we have to come up with? By just the same ratio of Pelican, my number would be about 150,000.
150 to 200.
Yeah, 150, 200,000. And if that's the case, then can we find 150 to 200,000 of reserve cost to cut?
And this is still the high water mark. We haven't really cut it at all. This is where we came out as high water.
Well, we haven't gotten to that
Right,
point.
that's what I mean. So we've been here before, it's just, now we gotta go and prune it a little.
And there's also a lever that we could pull, which is historically some carryover or some other potential available funds.
Just carry forward,
Yeah,
yeah.
so carry forward, if we carry forward that
So
into
like
the
taking
next.
retained earnings
Yeah.
Yeah.
and applying
So-
Yeah,
forward.
just earmark those and carry them forward to offset, like it did with the Pelican budget, so that would be.
How much, what is
What
that
is the
number?
carry forward?
I don't know,
Is Stephen online?
uh,
I would think Stephen
I
would
don't
be able to
expect him to be
crunch
on, he'll
this,
be on at 3.
taking that to 10%.
forward?
Would he be able to tell us?
That's a good question to
real
ask at
quick?
3 o'clock. So
No,
we
it's
can go
not.
through our due diligence, see, are there items that we can put on the potential, well, the order of operation is, what can we immediately scrub based on due diligence?
If anything.
2,
We
what are,
have some, sorry, we have some earmarked already here, these numbers, the 848. And then with the interest, the 715,000, so I can look and see, that's interest. I don't have, I'd have to go and look and see like what we would possibly have to carry forward, in general, in the general fund, like what we would have from Public Works or pool or whatever, just the O&M stuff that we could earmark to pull
Well,
over.
all of our capital stuff is, as I recall, we said to go with debt retirement. So if we would talk about 100,
And the large capital projects, yes, but like a vehicle purchase, we did.
yeah, okay. But my point is if you have 150,000 in deferring of principal and interest, if that's the number, that's probably equal to 150 times 6, which would be
Right.
almost $1 million worth of capital itself.
yeah,
So that's kind of where we're at on
Do
on the
we
number.
know what the carry forward was from the 24 into 25? That's some number,
150, but
24 into
no,
25.
700 and it was really close to 769 or 715.
yep, somewhere,
So it's
it was a 700 plus
roughly. Is
number.
there any reason to think that 25 into 26 will be less than that?
Well, no, especially
No.
looking at the,
And the reason why we are so long is because we defer some of the projects because they had to do with the park. So the majority of that 700 that it's carryover, it is items that we decided to delay. So if we didn't delay.
Okay,
it
we
would
just
be a
delayed the
shorter-
it was a
expense.
true carry forward aligned
Yeah,
to,
the true carry forward would be a lot shorter if we didn't decide to delay because of the park.
So am I correct in thinking that the combined carry forward from 24 to 5, which is 600 and something, 25 into 26 is another 7. So we got about 1.3 million
You can
of
close the
true
door.
Can't close the door,
carry
has to
forward.
be open. He'll have to go outside.
can crack it.
Where's
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah.
Is there somebody out
Because
there?
it just keeps growing, it doesn't go away.
Yeah, okay.
Who is it?
I don't-
where's the calculations of the P and Is that we're looking at that would be cut or possibly cut by this? What page are we looking at? Where the principal and interest
That was
payments
separate
for these
section,
various
yeah.
capital items are located
That was
to
like
see
the
what's
last
on the
page,
table
isn't it?
for
It might just,
eliminating.
it might write itself. This might solve itself by changing the funding source for those, correct? If we
We
go,
already pulled the capital projects.
so we've already done that. Okay.
That's not in
So
here
the
at
ones
all.
that are in here are what we expect to do.
Well, it depends on the conversation that you guys have about.
Today.
Yes.
Well, let's move forward with our workshop,
Somebody
knowing
should be
that,
able to
Some
tell us what that
questions.
number is, because, I mean, I'm just
We'll have a target.
guessing that number 150 to 200 is what it would take to get to 10%.
and again, the order of operation is we identify areas that we can pull immediately because we've deprioritized or reduced. 2, we set a tier 2 category of those that could potentially be cut. Maybe there's some additional conversations or things that we need in order to make that determination. But that's how we walk into this workshop.
And I want to be clear too, because Bob, I know you mentioned, this is high water. We're expected to cut right now. Well, you cut before high water. We deferred, we took out all of those large capital projects. So to say like, this is now the time we have to cut, it's.
It's high water, but we've been lean through the process as best we can.
You started that before the high water.
Yeah.
Well, in years past, it was a wish list. Make sure you put whatever you think you might want in high water.
We didn't do that as much this year.
No, we
Okay.
We kind of
had
started
some in
off with
there.
a,
But yeah, you guys did slide. I mean, we were up around 30% when we started before the high water, and we got it down to where it's at.
Those the floodwaters.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were breaching the dam there, so yeah.
Okay.
So are these items that we're looking at on the screen right now, are they the only ones that are in the budget right now?
None of these are.
None of them are in the budget. Okay, so that, what are they on here for?
So these are the projects that you said for us to defer. And so as part of this, we went back, and really this is part of a bigger conversation we really should be having. I know I've spent quite a bit of time talking to Rod over the past week or two. But the conversation here will, some projects may depend on other projects. So like, for instance, if we do a total major overhaul of the Sherman Soccer Complex, I would say, hey, we need to evaluate lighting. If you're saying, let's Band-Aid it and just do sod replacement, then I'd say, we can leave the lighting. We did, you know, an enhancements a couple of years ago, but we can milk that. We can make that happen. Really, the Sherman Soccer Complex parking lot expansion, the moving of the dog park depends on if you do the parking lot. So that's where a broader conversation from the board. We did do, I've learned more about synthetic turf and natural turf than I ever cared to know in my life. So from a staffing recommendation, we'll stick with our original recommendation of keeping the natural grass. Now, if you want to entertain a smaller synthetic field of some sort, softball, baseball.
As a pilot?
As a pilot somewhere, we can contemplate that, but it is a whole project in and of itself between engineering, design, permitting because of the impervious acreage, like it's a lot. So from a maintenance of existing assets perspective, and talking with our maintenance vendor, you know, we've gotten what, 30 years, almost 20, 25 years out of our natural grass and probably haven't maintained it like we do today every year. But the recommendation would be to go with the turf option number 2, which would be to bring in some clean, new, they call it 90-10 fill and the natural grass, but that's if you want to make that $1.7 million investment.
But you're talking about stuff that only adds to the cost.
Yeah,
Right.
We're talking about what is on the table right now in the way of capital that we would have to cut to create $3 differential.
We can go to the capital
Well,
sheet.
and let me just make this one recommendation while we're here. I think that any conversation around improvements to the soccer complex, whether it be lights or sods, I think that has to be deferred to fiscal year 26, 27, because it's going to take at least a year of due diligence and also not just what improvements we'd like to make, but also evaluating. I mean, if we want to do it right, we evaluate the leagues, we evaluate the structure, the man.
We gotta have a vendor that's participating.
Yeah, a vendor, or we look at outsourcing versus insourcing. Like this is, if you're going to do it right, then we need to start from scratch and turn over all the stones and look at how we can either improve the facility, reduce costs, offset costs, and maximize revenue, and also either maintain or improve the quality of service that we provide to the residents as the first priority.
On the capital sheet and we can.
That would be my
And
recommendation,
one-
just for anything related to this area right over here.
Yeah, one question to you, Ed, because you mentioned O&M cost increasing because of the new facility. And maybe I'm missing something, but the new facility capital, I understand the capital, but our staffing doesn't really change much.
Operate that new park, including security, cameras, all of that stuff is going to cost a lot of money.
Well,
I don't
understand.
think we've got it budgeted, but we got a year to get through that.
We got a year to get
We
there.
That's
got a
next
year to
year
get-
project.
That's next year
Yeah, that's
issue.
26, 27.
Right now, what I'm saying is that bringing up and following on what Doug is saying, is if we're at 13 and we have any indication or any liking to try to get to 10,
Okay.
what's that 3% going to cost? And I'm of the opinion that I think we're playing with fire if we mess with operation. We got to mess with capital. Something is in there in capital that's causing it. So the question is, what dollar value do we have to get rid of in principal and interest to achieve that 3% differential.
And I'll also say, really quick, Bob, that what we're trying to do right now is we've got two things. One, we're looking at cost reduction to get us to a desirable 9-10%. And there's a dollar amount that equates to that. Two, if there are items that are not currently in the budget, the only way that I think we should be approving those is if we swap out, we do a like for like. I don't think we should be adding anything to this budget at this point.
I'm with you there.
We can't be adding anything to the budget, and the only way to do that is if we pull something out and we can offset while staying in parallel with the other objective, which is trying to reduce down to 9-10%.
And keep in mind, your 13%, our debt for Lake Banks went up last year by about $50. So if you're trying to cut, I mean, we are running very lean.
Yeah.
So debt went up about $50. That equals percentage. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we're going backwards now, but.
And that's not going to be going down. That's only going to be increasing the more we do. So we got a number of locked in expenses facing us. When we talk again about the O&M, if we're putting in security, if we're putting in fencing, the fencing particularly, that's a capital item. It's not an O&M item. The only thing in O&M, I think, is the people, right?
But
And
all those
electric.
things, Bob, are debt related. So you're dealing with a debt finance number. So if it's $1 million, it might work out to be 150,000. That's my point. What are the items for which we are going to be paying principal and interest for in capital in 2026 that
In
are
capital.
subject to, yes. that
Not
are
in
subject
O&M,
to-
but in capital.
Not in O&M, in capital.
Okay.
That are subject to eliminating $150,000 to $200,000. I don't know what there is there.
Yeah, because when I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking O&M is heads, people. And the number of people, whether we're in this building or in the new building, is not going to be changing significantly unless we add additional park people or something like that. So I'm thinking that the O&M should be kind of stable unless we change
I
it.
would hope, but when I'm looking at a building that's 9,000 square feet, we don't have anything to compare with that.
Well,
It's
but
gonna
we won't be,
tremendously increased. The issue is that I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is the park. The park operating cost is what scares me. But that again is a year down the
We
road.
have a year down the road to
I'm
work
worried
through.
about right now is if, like Doug said, if there was an opportunity to cut the deal and reduce the budget from 13% increase to 10% increase. If
I
the
must
math
prefer
is right,
9.
where do we come up with $150,000 to $200,000?
So
That's the
if you want
question.
to run through the capital items, we can run through those real quick. And
Okay.
just have Laura click through, there's no projects on here. These are things, okay? So we have a drone, we have staff gauges, and we have a dump trailer.
Do we have, boy, I don't even want to go down this damn road. Don't we have a line item called capital reserve payment? How,
Capital reserve, yes.
capital reserve, we
Reserves.
put so much money a year into, to pay for
Future
capital
capital,
reserve.
capital expenses, right?
That is another item that is, all that's doing is doing what I
Kicking the
hate
can.
the most.
Kicking the can. So what do we have in the capital reserve for this coming year?
Yeah, what is our capital reserve contributions for all of the silos that would be available? That's around $300,000.
48,000.
Well, you recall, we broke it out by silo.
I know, that's
And
what
then
I
I
said.
took the
it's by
average
silos.
for the next 5 years. So like for waterways, it's 48,000.
Well, that's nothing.
What I'm afraid of is to achieve it, you're going to basically take out all your capital reserve money is what you're going to do.
It was 62,000 for admin, so it's a little over 100, what are we at, 108?
So if we have them all together, we're going to be at 150
And
to 200,000.
then Public Works is 107, 112. So you're a little over 200,
So now go
215.
back to the other one. What is the current, the budget is what, 1345? Correct? 1345 next year's the assessment. Divided by 12 is what? $110.
Pretty close.
Talking about $110 a month. And of that, we're talking, if we took, I don't know what, 10%, if it went down to $1,000, that's $300. You're talking $30 a month
Well,
is what we're talking about saving the assessment on a monthly basis, about $30.
O&M is, for a single family home, is $1,033. You add the two debt service funds to that, that's what gets you.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. The
So
debt services,
300 of it
you
is-
can't do anything with that.
Right.
Okay, so we're really dealing with the
Well,
1,033.
forget the capital reserves for the moment. My first question was there a carry forward? In other words, did we underspend with our budget in 24 going into 25? Or did we spend every nickel?
No.
No, we did not spend all of
what we
it.
were talking
So that's not capital reserve, that's a
It's
carry
retained
forward.
earnings.
They're different.
But some of that, what
It's deferred
Chelsea said,
projects.
It's deferred projects.
Okay, so my question is, other than the deferred projects,
What is the number for?
what did we net out that we underspent? Or that we're having carry forward?
Or that we had increased revenue, like
Whatever.
returns for our
So
bonds.
if we know that, and then we look at the 25 going into 26, do we expect a similar savings? Or have things impacted us where that's not going to be there? Where we,
What Laura was saying is when Stephen comes on at 3:00, we can ask him that
Okay.
question. He should have a good idea of what the.
because we don't have to
what
hit
it would
capital
look like.
reserves at all if we've got the money there.
Right, exactly. So we'll know more about that at 3:00. I think we should stay within the budget
Yeah.
and continue
Okay,
going through that.
I'm with
Then we
that.
can have more conversation
I'm
when
okay
Stephen
with
gets
that.
on about the other possible source of carryover
Do we
funding.
want to talk about O&M right now? Because I do have some questions.
Steven's actually on.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do, so hold on, let me just see if I can get Stephen work. Stephen, did you hear Bob Geppert's request?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is Stephen. Yes, so we do have on the quarterly reports that we submit, we have the carry forward from the prior year on there. And then from there, it'd be a matter of how much are we going to use for our projects that we had talked about, and then the net would be those two numbers.
Okay, so we'll have to work on that, because I don't.
Okay, Stephen, just to be clear in my mind, if we came up with a number for 24 to 25, whatever that number is, minus what we chose not to spend money for.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
that's a carry forward number. And then again, in 25 to 26, do we expect a similar number or less? If we know that, it'll help us.
I think, just to be clear, what we're looking for is the number we anticipate carry over for 25, 26.
Yes.
Really 24, 25 is indifferent.
Well, except to know it,
You're
that's all.
just you're trying to have Stephen give us an approximation of what the retained earnings is going to be at the end of the year. October.
Completely separate from reserves.
Yeah, and what we're talking about then would be to allocate a portion of that money to a buy down.
In the same way
That's what
that
we're doing.
Laura
And
did
there's-
with the interest. She took interest that we had and applied it to the budgets this year, whereas in other years we didn't do that, but expected interest payments. And that came up to a number that reduced, in Pelican's case, 100,000. I don't know what it was over here. I don't remember.
And in that categorization, there should be 3 categories. One is any earnings, like we had last year with bonds or CDs or whatever. That's one classification. 2 is deferred projects. So we need to know if there's carryover, but those projects were deferred
committed.
or earmarked, for in this budget. And then 3 is the net leftover that is not allocated or identified for any particular use.
And I'll work with Steven on that because the stuff that I track includes the stuff that's earmarked, and the financials that you guys get it's all in the same system, so I'm not pulling it from anywhere else, but the financials you see don't include the encumbered expenses. What I produce for management does, and so he and I can work on that together
Perfect.
then.
Yeah. How soon can you have that? Next meeting.
Ooh, getting late.
Well, you'll see it by Thursday next week, so.
Be nice to know it before that meeting,
You're not kidding.
We'll work on crunching that.
because that meeting is the
Monday.
last.
Monday.
day.
Last meeting, yeah.
We'll work
So you
on-
get it by Monday, maybe?
We'll try to get it out to you guys.
Monday, end of day, Tuesday at the latest.
Steve, can you tell us just ballpark, what is the projection with less than 90 days to go? What is the projection of our year-end retained earnings?
Again, he and I need to work together because there's stuff that's encumbered that doesn't show in the financials, so
Oh, okay,
I don't
so
want
you
to
have
put him on the
pending
spot to give you
items.
guys a number. Let me
Okay.
work with him on that and
I
I'll get
was
it
trying
to
to
you.
figure out,
Yeah.
is that number a realistic number that would solve the 150 to
Correct.
200,000?
But we don't know that until Laura does her,
Right.
her thing.
I think if you're looking to recoup about 150 to 200,000, I think we should be safe, but I don't quote me on that, just
Because this
based on
past
what
year,
I've
I
seen,
thought,
so.
I agree with you, I thought it was around 750.
Mhm.
Well,
And if we're anywhere close to that, what we're talking about is taking a third of it and committing it to buy down rates.
whatever that number is, as
Whatever.
a target, I would like 9%, not 10. The max increase. That's,
That's single digit. I mean, that-
yes.
I have some pretty big encumbrances
Okay.
on the books, so.
So
Okay.
can we go to operating? Okay. Does anybody want to start with anything? No? Okay. I have a list. And
Really?
yeah, you
wasn't-
didn't see
I
that.
didn't see that. Does anybody have any? Okay, let me go into mine.
It's gonna be a long one. I had questions regarding the FPL. I did notice utilities for electrical and some, we are budgeting lower than what we.
Right, because what we had budgeted for this year for a lot of those utilities, when I went back and I looked at what we actually spent, it was significantly lower than what we had in the budget. So I tried to be more realistic and I did plan an, like, I think I padded it by 10%.
Where we at?
Yeah,
What
not on
page?
everything. So
What
I'll
page
start
you
with
on?
the first one. So first question, I noticed insurance went from 38 to 66. Did we had any claims?
We have a new building.
No, auto insurance. It says, oh, property, okay.
This is, whatever page we're talking about, is it on the screen?
Page 3.
Yeah, our HOA went up about 15%
Oh, this is double.
on insurance, yeah. And didn't have any
It's a
claims.
new building, okay.
Yeah,
So
I
it went
did,
from
I only
38 to
included it for
66.
half a year,
Okay.
but that's why that went up so much because of the new admin building. If you tell me
Okay,
the
waterways.
fund and then which,
She's going
are
to
you looking at
waterways.
general fund?
Yes,
Okay.
001.
Yeah, if you tell me the fund in the area, I'll find it.
So waterways, 001.
Page 7.
Utilities and
Page 7.
aerator. So actual, we are 23,000 and we're budgeting for 20,000. What is utility aerators? Is that electrical? Okay, so that doesn't make sense.
Where you see that one line item?
Middle page.
Yeah.
Oh, utilities,
Aerator.
Yeah,
aerators.
but if
So
you look,
aerators-
this 23,000 was actuals for fiscal 24. That's not this current year.
20,000 here.
This is the budget for this year is 10,000 and I bumped it up to 20 based on the actual usage.
And is that in anticipation of some additional aerators?
No,
That
we
we've been
actually,
talking-
It's gonna be a
that's separate.
decline, yeah.
yeah, I don't think the budget wasn't high enough for fiscal 25. I mean, we actually spent 23,000
Okay.
in 24 and we only budgeted 10 last year. So I pulled up all the actuals for these accounts when I went through and did this.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand, because we didn't remove any aerators. The electricity went up, FPL went up 10% last year, and then another 10% this year. And we went from 23.5 actuals of 2024 to an increase on 25, and then now a decrease on 26. Does that make sense? So you're by, so did we miss aerators that are suddenly not working, or they're out for repair and not working for
I think
months?
some of
at a
those
time?
stuff we split off. We were paying for things that we weren't supposed to be paying
Okay,
on the
so that-
meters.
all right.
And so we're actually only paying for what we should be paying for now.
Did,
So that's why. So it's a combination of things.
did
Okay.
FPL give us a notice of a rate increase?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
There might be another
We
one
got
coming
shocked at
this year.
Yeah,
at
the meeting
the
was
HOA.
yesterday.
We saw about a 10% increase.
That's what I always plan for.
That's what I thought.
And then, because that was the question, then we have aerators, repair and maintenance, we're adding $50,000. Did that came from another category on same page?
We're
last
actually
item.
reducing 50,000. I'm going from 100 to 50. Was it budgeted for 100,000 for this year? I'm taking it down to 50. Again, I went through and I combed, what did we actually, where are our actuals versus budget? And I made some adjustments based on that.
I guess
Those were new aerators,
Oh, it's repairs and maintenance, not,
just repair maintenance.
yes. And we had a budget of $100,000 for this current year. We're even
I
close.
didn't think we had that many.
We aren't even close, so I dropped it to 50.
Okay.
And I did work through this with staff, because they're the
Okay.
ones that are.
I guess
that-
because without me having to look at the latest financial to see what the actual
Yeah,
2025.
Because what you're looking at here
Is
is the
2024.
the budget that was published, so that doesn't include the actuals.
So then littoral restoration, $50,000, is that in line with, because if we spend 2,400 and 24, That's on page.
AJ,
They did do a big purchase of littorals recently to put in.
But is that part of the lake bank restoration? So it
No,
shouldn't
this
be.
is, no, this is outside of that. These are for other lakes. The lake bank stuff is included. Any of the littorals that are part of the lake bank restoration
what
are
I thought.
included in the total for the lake bank
So
restoration. Correct.
I'm trying to just refer to my reports that we receive on the monthly reports. I don't recall anything that stands out that we did for planting all the littorals, like what caused it? Because we're in line with it and everything, so it must be a point repaired at a specific area needed of that. That's the only thing that you would spend money on
We
it.
did quite a few point repairs this year.
That would require littorals.
I don't recall.
So that's what I want to know. Like, I want to know if I could, what is the actual for 2025 on littoral restoration? Because all the money, if it's the bank, should be with the bank project. I just don't recall anything on those reports saying that they had to go out there and plant littoral per the development order. So I want to make sure that we're not planting littoral where there is no requirement for it.
well, do you know where we are budget year in littorals this year?
Yeah.
And we budgeted 50,000, where are we in our spending?
I have to run a report, it'll take a little bit.
That's close enough.
Do you recall, Ed, anything in littorals that we had to go out and there and plant it besides was
No.
the project itself? Yeah, I don't either. If anything, removals, but not plantings.
I don't recall it for here either. I know we spent
I
a lot
just
in
think it's a
Pelican.
big, it's 50, it's.
We spent a lot in Pelican.
End
I
of
knew that.
June, we spent,
I have
to
it
date,
right here.
we've spent 23.5. That's into
Okay,
23.5%.
percent
Percent.
of
Oh,
the
So
50.
far this
Of the
year, we've
50,000?
spent
It's very little.
about 12,000. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we could do a reduction there.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say I would have cut it.
Take it to 25, you're still
I would have
close.
cut that to 25,000.
We can do that.
I mean, does the board agree?
Which line item? The
Littoral
littoral-
restoration, we have 50,000. I would have cut that to 25.
Chelsea, Laura, you're keeping track so we get into the main meeting. We'll have the notes.
That's the only
after.
change that,
Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
okay.
Okay, the next item's stormwater pipe
I
and
don't
catch
have-
basin.
oh,
How much have we spent this year?
I wish next meeting can have the actual up to date date, because then otherwise I would have had to print it, which I did, kept looking back and forth.
You mean year to date?
Laura can
Year
look
to
at it.
date, I mean, I really
Year
don't,
to
necessarily-
date
I don't
for-
care for FY 2024 as much as I would have cared for.
I didn't say 24, just 25. What are
Yeah,
we
that's what I
year to
mean.
date?
We're
24
at,
really-
no, we're at 30,
Never mind, that's good enough.
30 plus 1,500 and I have.
That's all I have on there. Then Parks and Recreation. Irrigation under utility services, 19,000.
Repairs? You're talking the repairs?
It doesn't, no, I don't think it's repairs, so it just says,
R&M
utility,
irrigation.
yeah, it just says utility services irrigation, right underneath the trash removal.
20,000.
So, yeah, so it's budget is for 19,000. FY
We're
20,
at 17,200 right now, so.
so that's
That's
under
pretty
budget.
lean. No, I got 2 more months to go yet. So if I saved, if I budgeted 20, we should be right around there.
So you're saying that year to date,
19, I would have put it 21, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, we're at 17.
I know, but budget for 2026 instead of 19, if we're 17 and we have 2 billing cycles to go,
where do you see 19? 20.
okay,
Mine's 22, Ed.
this is what's in the website.
Yeah, this is the one from the website.
Yeah, because Paul just printed to
What
me.
you're saying is that you've got for irrigation, R&M, 20,000 budgeted, and we're incurred year to date 17? Oh, utility service
Yeah.
irrigation. What is that? I mean, that's general common area?
Parks and Rec. for Parks and
It's
Rec.
mostly the soccer field.
Okay, under Parks and Rec, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I would think that number would have to go up.
So in other words,
1,000.
if we've already spent 20,
That's what I'm saying, like you have 2 more billing cycles and you, and given that we're gonna have new plantings on this area,
So you're saying 19 needs to go higher,
I would
not
say at
lower.
least, yeah, what is, but if,
Well, if you prorate it, it would go up to about 22 or 23.
that's what I was thinking. I mean, if
Take it to 23.
I don't have anything there, then I have it on Public Works.
Streetlights went to 100,000 projected.
How about the one right above that?
One above that.
That's,
That is what it is. We didn't have anything to go by for what the cost is. What are we year to date on the fountain?
Are we under Public Works or someplace else?
Yeah, Public Works, about
Works,
7 items down.
electric fountains.
So far through the end of July, we are, well, through July 29, we're at
What?
6,000, 6,100.
Says you might have 1,000 in there. But the electricity for streetlights, how did that go from 50 to 100?
All of the new streetlights.
It's, but we had the same, is the number of the lights is the same, isn't it?
But we weren't paying, we have the lease now, all those lease payments, that gets coded there.
This, well, my question is this electricity or is this paying for capital?
No, we don't pay for electricity.
That's the all-in lease.
We do not pay for electricity. It's all in one.
It's all
Yeah.
in one. It's not capital, because the capital price is,
So it's a cost per light?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So this,
It
this
really
is,
shouldn't
this is
be,
a
it shouldn't be
calculation.
named electricity, actually. That's.
It should be
It
lease.
should be just streetlights because.
But this is a
it's all
calculated
inclusive.
number. Somebody calculated this number? Okay.
So, all right, we'll change the name of it.
It should be,
It's just gonna change, you're not gonna track, you're not gonna have historical data if you move it to a different.
No, I'm not moving it, just changed it. What do we had? 190, 219 streetlights. I believe it was $18 each. I don't,
Say it again.
I believe we had a 219 streetlights.
We
I'm
were
going
at
by
3,
memory.
I thought we were at 300 before, 300,
I know, you
310.
kept finding them. I think you found like 80 that we didn't know we
I
had.
know I found some.
So,
Okay.
and I believe the average was
I'm trying-
$18, 18
That's why I'm trying to
something.
find my calculator.
So-
I'll go back.
That is
pull the
not,
contract.
it's 311 times 18.
So how many did you say?
311
311? 311 times 18?
I think you
times
say it's
12 is
higher.
67,000.
21, okay.
That's only 67,000 on a yearly basis. Yeah, same number.
Let us go back.
But,
and
but
look at
I'm
the
going by
contract.
memory. It's around 18, but I could be off. Okay.
That could be a big savings right there on that
Let us
one.
go back
So
and
just
look at the
look at that.
contract and get the total count before the next meeting.
I'm positive it's over 300.
Okay.
Okay.
And then under the swimming pool, same thing, electric.
Well, so the license plate readers will
I
talk
think-
at the next meeting.
Well, I figure we'll make that decision or, because we have some information to share with them and I don't think, I mean, I can, but I think it's best.
Yeah, before we leave that, the street sweeping services are outsourced, correct?
Yes.
Are we anywhere close to where it might be a cost savings for us to bring it in?
I haven't looked at it, but collectively, well, if Stony Brook's going away,
But they still have the requirement. Going out of the budget, but the
no, because
requirement
roads-
remains.
The roads would not be ours at that point. So,
But
Let me-
don't they have to do it for their own community though to comply?
Yeah, but we're not gonna police them.
No.
But yes, the answer
So we can
yes.
offer them that service to reduce our total cost, that's all.
To buying the
Yeah,
equipment.
whatever it takes to do it, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Tony.
A lot of times for the NPDES program, street sweeping is important to get the debris and litter out so it doesn't go into your stormwater
Yeah, but it
management
is
system.
required, so we know we have to do
Right,
it.
so it's required, so that might be a way to say, okay, it's part of our drainage system, we
Huh.
still have drainage responsibilities.
But if Stony Brook pays 10,000 a year, O1 pays 50,000 a year, and Pelican pays 30,000, and we could do a whole thing for 50
By the Southwest
by
Health.
combining it all, it might be an
I think
advantage
it's all
to us.
001 because Stony Brook would be in that.
Correct. Stony Brook is paying into the part of the.
They're into that,
So,
okay.
Yes.
my experience in my previous career, those things are very expensive and you can do a lease to own option. I'd have to go and see if the year lease would be worth us doing.
Okay.
just the lease itself.
Well, the mechanics, they break down a lot also, Mike. Yeah.
I don't want to spend money. I'm trying to save.
I can
Use your
look.
phone connections, don't they have one of
Do
those?
street sweeper. I'll look at that before the next meeting.
Tesla make a,
Anything cost?
That's a-
Some salt water.
There's a broom in the back, there's like 5 of us.
Try line up.
Right?
For public meetings.
So, under swimming pool, the same thing, electric. I just want to know where we are today.
14 ought to be, or the 12 ought to be at least 16 or 17.
$12,000, so
We're at
it's
8,700 right now,
What's the 14 then?
What line have you looking
last
at?
year.
I'm looking at swimming pool.
but we reduced it
electric.
by 2K.
But I don't
Well,
understand how we're reducing when FPL rates are going up and we're not having a reduction in usage, like, oh, we're not turning the pool this amount of hour. There's nothing on the reports from our directors that say like, we're doing something.
Didn't
that's
we
giving
put in
a
new
reduction.
equipment that was
Yes.
supposed to be more efficient
Yes.
and that
We might
Not in the
we might-
electrical, the
we might not
filter.
have cooled or heated as much.
That's
this
gas though.
gas in
I'm really
the-
talking about 2K. I mean, that's,
No,
No,
that's
I
its
think it
own
needs to
line,
be higher.
so.
Okay.
But the utilities so far for electric for the pool year to date through the end of July are only at 8,700.
Is how?
8,700.
July, it's half of the year, so,
No, we have like 2 months left.
okay.
So that's very reasonable, assuming all things remaining equal.
So you should be okay. then.
We did invest in some new equipment, which is
It just
really
went up?
helped with the
Okay.
bill, yes.
And then public safety, the $25,000 for, that's the detail in additional to the 40 other cameras, right? Finally, do you know top of mind, what are we using the miscellaneous contingency? Other fees and charges.
Anything that comes up that you guys wish for us to do.
Charlie?
It doesn't fall under anything else.
I don't have pages. It's right before Pelican Preserve, the last page of the last page of
It's,
001.
Page 11.
We didn't do much damage to it, O&M.
No, it's just very little, like there's nothing there. I was just
That's what
concerned
I
of,
looked
I
at
was just
before.
concerned with every single electrical, just because there's 2 races, and then I didn't, when I look at the financial, I felt like we needed to add a little bit more money for FPL on pretty much every
I know
category.
ours went up big
Yeah.
time.
That's all I have.
Do you want to
Anybody?
remove the $40,000?
No, it's just a question. I just wanted to know, is it something that we need to create a line item for it? Is it something that could be better allocated in a different line item so we can budget properly? I was just generally asking. I don't have any. No? All right. Want to recess for 10 minutes?
Let's, can we just, Laura, recap her list real quick?
So
So
I-
we were on the same page?
I have 3 items that I'm gonna work with Steven to get to you, hopefully end of day, Monday, no later than Tuesday. Those 3 items are, figuring out how to get the number down to 10%, how much 24 carry forward do we have left, and then how much are we expecting for this current fiscal 25? And then, do I recap the budget stuff now, or do you wanna wait till the meeting? Okay, so what the notes I took based on Flavia's list is littoral restoration, take it to 25,000, parks and rec utilities irrigation, take it to 23. Look at renaming the utilities, streetlights, license plate readers we'll talk about during the meeting, and then Chelsea's gonna look into lease to own for street sweeping.
One more thing.
Laura, I'd like the 9% number too. Just so we know what it's 10%, what it would be 9.
What about the 10? Just go with the 9. Drone, didn't we buy the drone already?
No,
Or we're not?
it's in the budget for next year,
Okay.
the old drone.
Not compliant with
correct. We have to get a new one if we wanna use it.
Are we reselling it?
auction. Whenever we purchase it. Surplus and auction.
You have to declare it, it's under $5,000.
You still have to declare it surplus, but it just depends upon the process you use. Sorry.
We'll listen to you. All right, so that's it. Occasionally, yes. All right, so we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute recess into the next meeting. All right.
back, but notice was provided that this project was forthcoming and that all of those things needed to be removed. I understand that they are elderly, but
Okay, so I misunderstood. I had an assumption that the tree roots, when they digged it out, so it was just a stack of pavers?
no, he had a patio that was underneath the tall oak tree, and so when they took out the ball and the roots, the fingers of the roots.
You have pictures?
I do, first, yes, that I took on site, and Paul did as well. Like I said, we met with them multiple times, offered to at least stack them, but my concern was if we reinstalled it and that there was a trip and fall or a hazard, that we may be liable for that. So that's why we offered to just stack them nicely on his property.
So it was, okay.
And that was declined, so.
All right. Okay, we'll go to the next one.
All right, next up, I have John Payne regarding favors.
You're up.
Well, I'm the person you're talking about whose pavers were,
If you could please state your name for the
Okay.
record.
I'm John Payne and live at Timber Ridge regarding the late 94 restoration. Good job on the restoration in general until they got to my lot. And they pulled the palm trees out with a front end loader or crane all around the lake. I had 2 big oak trees in front of my property, probably put there by the developer. And they decided they were going to pull them out. Well, they're this big around. I says, you're going to be tearing up the pavers. They said, yeah, well, if we do that, we'll fix them, quote unquote. The second oak tree, they decided to do what I suggested, cut the roots, and there was no damage. But why they didn't use chainsaws, I don't know. But anyway, talked to at least 12 people down there with the contractors. They all said they were going to fix this patio, all of them. Until the end, it was obvious that someone said they're not going to fix it. And as you already heard, I'm 85 years old. When I was told that I could do it, I said, I can't do that physically. So then I was told, okay, I was told that my neighbor could help. I said, well, I'm sorry, but that's the most asinine statement I've ever heard. It has nothing to do with my neighbor. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the gateway, hiring a contractor to break something deliberately, knowingly, saying they're going to repair it and didn't. So I had to get a contractor there myself. They paid $275. And I'm asking to get reimbursed for that money. And my wife and I have been in Gateway for 22 years, between Pelican Preserve and here. And my opinion is there's no way to talk to residents, especially senior citizens. I don't know what's going on. Doesn't make sense to me. They damage it to fix it. They said they would.
And just to.
Do you have pictures? I just wanted to.
Yes, I do.
I figured you had papers there. What is the address? I just want to get that.
It's the one on the corner.
All the way to the end, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, I think I'm calling.
And just to be clear, you're asking for 275 is what.
275, the bill is right there with the file and, you know,
All right, thank you.
that's it.
They look mighty good for
Thank you,
85.
John. Sit down.
Well, that's what people tell me, but I'm still
John, what is the
physically.
I hear
address?
you.
What is your address?
12854 Timber Ridge
Right.
Drive. 33913.
Okay.
Next one.
All right, for our last one, I have Rod Senior regarding a non-agenda item.
Thank you. Would you allow me to distribute these before you start the clock, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hard stuff.
Only the best. Rod Senior, Gateway Greens, thank you. Property taxes. My property taxes are not single digit, Doug. historically, as you said. Lee County, which is in red, as on an IRR basis is 2%, even though it's capped at 3% homestead. They've been 2% for a while. We have been increasing ours at 19% IRR over the last few years, and if you project that forward, we're going to be up to $1,900 by 2028, our component of my property taxes. That's going to be half of the whole of the Lee County ad valorem, which is unacceptable. $58 million bond, which I've always opposed, amortized over 20 years, if we spend it at 5%, is $90 million with interest. That will add a further $750 debt service to our property taxes spread over 6,000 homes, plus $200 debt service for the $17 million spent on pond bank restoration. Will put debt service alone to at $1,000. I'll have more to say on that on August the 14th. Remember, the CPI is only 2.5%. So yes, Carol, I'm not comfortable with 13%. No, Doug, single digits is not historically correct. Yes, Bob, the high water mark should come way down. And Ed, the $170 you're looking for is equivalent to $13 million within capital projects at 5%. Okay, soccer fields. $16 a square foot of artificial turf is too risky with too many unknowns, and they, in my opinion, would eliminate that option. Others have tried it. It's too hot and it's too hard. A surface in the UK, Blue Jays tried it at the Dunedin Spring Training Camp, didn't work for them. Before you make any long-term investment decisions on the soccer fields, we've got to decide whether soccer-centric facility is needed and wanted. It might have been good 20 years ago, may not be good for the next 20. Who is telling you that we need 5 soccer fields? Is the tail wagging the dog? In 1998, we had 2 and it was fine. How can you forecast the usage with accuracy for the next 20 years? A long-term contract with the user has got no teeth if they quit. Suggest, therefore, that you continue with the $70 a year routine turf maintenance for another year, as you said, Doug, until you have got time to do due diligence, do an overarching strategic plan for sports facilities in Gateway. 320 kids playing soccer is 300 homes out of 6,000. You're doing all this for 5% of Gateway. Therefore, consider other things like softball, lacrosse, running tracks, even halving the acreage that we've got. We're the ones who are paying. The guys who are using it are making good money. For example, GSA, 800 kids, $350 a year. They're getting $280,000 into their coffers, not into ours, which is costing us $500,000 in maintenance. Therefore, how about the district considering running these sports leagues and get some user fees into our coffers and not their user coffers? Thank you.
Anybody else? No. Okay, can we follow back on this? I just want a clarification. The pavers were inside or outside of the LME? Out.
With the tree roots. It was collateral damage, tree roots, and it's always an item that is covered by the contract.
That's what I'm thinking. What was the push? Who was the contact? Myself? What was the pushback on it? Why did he say you didn't want to fix it?
It wasn't that I don't know that we didn't want to fix it, it's that it was outside of our lake maintenance easement. We don't have the right to be on private property.
Well, that's why I say it's his damage. We go to him and tell him to fix it.
He was there because of the roots. He followed the roots.
And if we need the homeowner to sign
Waiver.
He knew the
waiver,
roots.
that's
If
Well,
he
the
knew
item
the
is already
roots-
fixed,
If
so
he knew
this
the
is.
roots were going up there, you would have done it is cut the roots.
Correct.
And not had the problem.
Yeah, that's, I wrote down
It's a
there's
contractor's
mitigation potential that.
So
yeah,
the
He should've
direction
done
from the board is to pursue the $275 reimbursement from Met Tower directly to the property owner?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Understood.
And I'll make a motion.
John,
We
we
don't
have-
need, I don't need a motion, or direction is fine.
No, that was clear.
I'll second the motion if we need it.
Okay, we have a motion by Doug to contact the vendor to reimburse for the $275 for the repairs, second by Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
We'll just need proof that this was paid, that you paid
The
it.
receipt should be there in that package.
That's an invoice, we'll need I'll touch base with
Yeah.
you, John.
Sure, hold on.
I'll touch base.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the next item, local achievements and recognitions, what do we have?
Just a couple things. We've had a lot of phone calls regarding our field staff, and kudos to the cleanliness of their work and their hospitality. So I want to give them kudos, shout out, especially in the heat.
And we had L's last day, last week, great turnout.
Yeah, we had a lot of contractors show up, a lot of vendors show up to celebrate their, her retirement.
Some
And,
former employees.
yep, so we have some former employees, and I know a couple of you showed up to that, so I appreciate you coming.
All right. Advice of committees and items to report, we have none, right?
Nope.
Go ahead, Lauren. No, that's it. Okay. Approval of the minutes.
I move on agenda items 8A and B.
Second.
I have a motion by Carol, second by Ed, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Consent agenda items,
I
so
move on consent agenda items 9A, B, and C.
Second.
a motion by Carol, second by Ed, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
District engineer, do you have anything? Admin, agenda items, so I
So
believe you
for-
have Lee County Sheriff's Office.
Yep, so, just to kind of give you a little bit of background before, Lieutenant Vaughn?
Yes.
Lieutenant, we gotta make sure I get that right.
That's
Lieutenant,
okay.
Lieutenant Vaughn shows up, and did you a brief presentation. I am stuttering a lot today, I apologize. So, the question that was posed by the board was, hey, we're paying $40,000 a year for these 16 license plate reader cameras throughout the district. Is there any value to these? Is there any cost savings? Is there any alternatives? What's the way to either?
What makes it worth $40,000?
Exactly. So as part of Lieutenant Vaughn and I met maybe a week or two ago, I did learn that the actually have a follow-up meeting with the block representative tomorrow to see if we can get the price lower. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lieutenant Vaughn to kind of go over some of the statistics and the benefits to the sheriff's office for these license plate readers.
And just really quick, Justin, we've had these operational for how long?
I think you've had 10 since 2022, and you've had 6 since 2023.
Correct.
And they are at every ingress and egress point to the district, and we've got one over at Pelican.
With the exception of what Cintas, Cintas.
Centos.
No, we haven't-
there's one there.
we haven't there.
Commerce
Yeah,
Links, right?
That's the 6 that we added, the 3 intersections.
We're at West Links and Commerce.
Commonwealth Commerce and Corporate Links.
Okay, I thought we were missing
And
one.
when we signed up for this, I thought it was free. Now, apparently the installation was free. But it was told to us that we had to pay a monthly fee. Somehow I missed that. I
So
was shocked to see the $40,000 bill.
you guys signed. It's $2,500 per camera annual. My question that I'm going to be posing to the block representative is, are we paying for a turnkey, all access, everything that we don't necessarily need? Is there a basic package that we could get? Those are some of the questions I'll be asking the block representative, but to see if we can get the $40,000 price down. Another option is reduce the number of cameras that we have.
Is this a Comcast fee?
No,
Who
no.
are we paying this? We paying a
Block.
fee, because we've got 29 cameras in our community, and we're paying like $2,000 per camera for those. And I thought that it was because of some licensing deal on the camera. Is that what this is for?
I believe it's a license, and that's part of the questions I have for the block representative tomorrow, because the contract wasn't clear exactly what we were getting for the $2,500.
But I was told that it's only when you change the camera do you pay that fee.
Yeah,
If, like, we had the camera for 3 years, we don't pay that fee.
So let's have Vaughn do the presentation,
Yep.
and then we'll ask for questions, because that,
absolutely.
well, welcome in.
Welcome, thank you. Again, for those who don't know me, my name is Lieutenant Angelo Vaughn with the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and on behalf of Lee County Sheriff Carmine Marcino and his administration, thank you for letting us come in here to your meeting and basically give you some of the highlights as to why it's important to have these cameras in your community. If you look at the screen up here, this is 1 year, this is just for Gateway and Gateway only from August of 2024 to August of this year. Total hot list alerts, 3,720, 374,922 hot list alerts. What is that? Once I was able to read this, the total alerts by topic, if you go down the list, it will go through everything from invalid license to expired tags. And I will go to that page as well.
This is what's derived from.
This is derived from 1 year.
From what is spotted through the camera.
What is spotted through the cameras. Again, just want to emphasize the
10
importance.
cameras, because we didn't add the 6 cameras, so this is only 10 cameras.
Yes, it's just what the cameras are picking up. Now, keep in mind, these cameras go into the Lee County Sheriff's Office Real-Time Intelligence Center. And so what these, by each topic, it talks about everything from sex offenders, how many the cameras picked up on, 8,761 as an example. Stolen license plates, gang or suspected terrorist, stolen plates, warrants, wanted persons, anything that, any vehicle that has come through Gateway, those cameras pick up on those stats, and those are not exaggerated. Again, that's just 1 year. This is what vehicles are being, this is what these cameras are picking up on these vehicles.
Question, that one that gets me is sex offender. That's a damn smart camera that knows a sex offender. I'm assuming that it assumes that the sex offender is in the vehicle.
That is correct, sir.
Based on the
Or
price.
that basically is based on, well, it's based on the registered owner. If it, once that vehicle comes through and it reads that license plate and it comes back to, let's say, Jim Jones, all right, and
So
Jim
it ties
Jones.
the two together.
It ties the two together. That's the purpose of that. And that's why we can't stress it enough, the importance of having these cameras in your communities, not just Gateway, any community.
So what does the Lee County Sheriff's Office do with this data?
What the Sheriff's Office
Do
does.
you go arrest the sex offender just because they passed through the camera?
Well, if that sex offender has violated, let's say, his or her probation or whatever boundaries they have, then we will get a hit. We, the Sheriff's Office, will get a hit. Okay, this person is located at XYZ address. And if they're in violation, then it becomes a law enforcement matter.
So like an example, if they're parked in front of the school, where usually they are not allowed to be, right?
Correct.
So then dispatch will make a decision to send somebody over there and take care of the case
How?
proactively.
Exactly.
Okay.
What happens, as the chairperson said, we will get the call, this person is located at, Gateway Elementary, God forbid. Then dispatch is going to have a deputy come over. If not, myself, because this is one of my communities that patrol, we go over to Gateway Elementary, we make contact, we let the school know, okay, we're on our way, where's this person at? And we make sure that buddy makes contact with them with this subject.
Okay,
we
so,
make,
Lieutenant Vaughn, let me have you take this up just one more level in more generality. So there are 374,922 alerts, and it's made up of all these different categories.
yes, sir.
The adverse action that takes place as a result of these, someone monitoring these cameras and, let's say, in real time, there is an alert of a stolen vehicle plate. Once that is identified, there's an action that's, someone is dispatched to that vehicle. So each alert could have an adverse action that results in some type of activity, research or an arrest or a ticket or something along those lines. Is that accurate?
It's safe to say yes, that is very accurate, yes, sir.
Yeah. So these aren't just alerts. These are alerts that have a corresponding adverse action as a result of having these in place, which, and holistically, goes directly towards the safety and well-being and quality of life within our community. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying. Yes, sir.
Since all of these people are coming into the community here, they obviously can be coming into our interior communities like Gateway Greens. Does my access control officer have access to this information?
We don't, again, this.
Because if you don't provide this information to me and to my access control, to me, it's not a benefit.
And the answer is no, we only went to that.
And, because if you have it, like, we have people that come in, we do speeding, we do all kinds of things. We a lot of times find that their driver's license are not accurate. We have to go back, whether it's their driver's license or their car license could be stolen. We don't know who to chase because we don't have any information, but you do have. If you're sharing that with us, I'm all in. If you're not sharing the information with us, I'm opposed.
It's per request, so any data that they have, we can request data that they don't have. So this is something that they have. So on your dashboard, so you can request it. So if you have an issue, you want to take a look at a specific action. You just cannot tell them what to do, like what action to take.
I'm not saying that.
But that report is available. If you have the same contract that we have for the usage, you have visibility of a general visibility of those items.
Yeah, if I have a car in my community come through my gates, because I have cameras also, everywhere. But we can't chase them down. We don't know who they are.
Well,
How, if we can come to you because you've got them, because if they came into our community, that came through one of your cameras. If we tell you, here's the car, here's the license, all we need to have you tell us is who it is. Last I was told was the only thing we can tell you is the county. That doesn't help me. I need to know the address of the person that's got that vehicle. Then we're not going to go to you. We'll go after them. We'll either ban them from the community, or if there's legal action that we can take, we'll do it. But we've got to have the data, and heretofore, we've been having difficulty, the county not providing that data.
So let me share what I think of. So Ed and his particular community has the same thing that we have as well. So it's kind of different than what we're looking at here, right?
yes.
So let's see, a car goes in, license plate 111111, okay? Their security guard, nothing to do with the county, goes in, makes contacts, asks for the driver's license, they don't have it. Can they now call the sheriff's office and say, you had a hit on your flock camera between 1 and 2 p.m. I need to know all the tags that went in. They look at all the tags, they find the 1111, and then now can you look for the registration information of that tag? Can you provide that to them? That's his question, am I right?
That's the question.
Okay.
We could do that because when you say chase, one thing we do not want is security officers chasing cars. That's where we come into play. Let us do the pursuing, just as a lack of a better term. But once we get it, once your security officer makes contact with this person or persons, and they're not supposed to be here for whatever reason, that's when they notify law enforcement, because your security guards don't have arresting.
Hold on. Got a big problem. Our roads are private.
I understand, yes.
Our roads are private, and we're having this problem in our community with, what do you call it, vendors, and with these e-bike and dirt bikes. Every time I turn around, and I've talked to Mark about this, we can't do anything, you can't do anything if you're not there to catch them. You can't be there to catch them.
But that's a decided issue.
But that's what I'm trying to say. We don't want you doing anything. We just want to have you tell us who it is, so we go after them. Our association can send them a fining notice. We have that authority.
Yes.
We're not asking you to put points on their card or on their license. We're going to give them a ticket for $100 for speeding, or whatever the issue is. But we need to know who the person is. We don't have that information. If we can get that of what Flavia just said, I'm all for it, because it would be very beneficial.
But this isn't, I mean, this is a gateway issue, right? So we don't, that's like, to me, it's like a side note, like Gateway Greens private property issue. I think maybe a better relationship with Yulee County Sheriff's Office and saying, hey, look, we want you to be more aggressive on the items, because you're not going to have issues with the top half of that, not the top bottom, hopefully. So that's something that maybe a partnership with your Lee County Sheriff's Office deputy or even your detail person in saying, and because the detail person, I don't think he has visibility of flock, only the main office does. So I think that's more a sit-down conversation with your detail, Lee County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Bond, yourself.
Well, we tried that,
and-
but we tried that, and it doesn't work.
Mr. Tinkle,
We just need access to the vehicle. If we know who the owner of the vehicle is, it's licensed, registered to, that's all we need. We don't need anything else.
Mr. Tinkle, if we can you and I circle back to that, please?
Okay?
It's just you and I. And you have my business card, correct?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, let's you and I come back to that. Just talk to me directly.
This would be very valuable. to us,
Understood.
because we have a nightmare with this.
Just,
So go ahead, Doug has
So
one.
can we do something really quick? And what you're saying is very valid, but I think we need to tailor this conversation into two terms. One, we need to land on the validity of the $40,000 that we spend, and all agree whether there's a cost benefit to that. I think that's why we asked Lieutenant Bond to come in. So we have $40,000 that we spend. We have to, as a board, determine whether that is valid. And there's two pieces to that. One, can we get cost reduction? And I think staff is working on that. But even on face value, looking at the stats, is $40,000, which is under less than a few bucks, $2 per resident. Do we agree that our residents would be comfortable paying that $2 to $3 based on the data and the adverse action and the results that occur for having those cameras in place? Now that I've seen the data and I've seen the categories, I'd love to see, maybe as a follow-up, the arrest numbers or, more statistical output.
What came of it?
To go back to the prior streets and to try and find on where Doug is. Of the 8,000, can you put that on the screen up here, of the 8,700 sex offenders. And I heard somebody say earlier that when he was at school, you have no idea where they went. They just went by a camera, correct?
that's correct.
So you don't know if they're 7-Eleven. How many arrests were there?
Well, if they're not violating their probation.
How many
no.
arrests did
Well,
you have?
that's what I'm trying to get to. Out of 374,000 alerts, how many of those resulted in some type of action that?
Well, I don't want to look at the 374 because I really don't care about the invalid license, expired tags. That's, when you get down to the rest, it's like 1,000 in a year. 12,775 comes to 35 a day. Were there any arrests?
Can you give me time to get that information?
Okay.
Because we want to understand the
That's what I'm
mitigation,
getting at.
because the identification without mitigation, or again, hard adverse action, that doesn't mean anything. If we just know who's in the neighborhood, that's fine. But if we're putting these cameras in place because there is an action that occurs that makes our streets safer, our roads safer,
Achieving something.
or just enhancing the quality of life, then that's something that we can put a quantitative amount to. That is more than just, we know who's in the community, that's great, but how is it enhancing our community?
374,000 is a hell of a number. So what is it for all of Lee County? It's got to be in millions. How do you respond to that volume? You're overwhelmed.
How many cameras do we have?
16.
Well, I can tell you right now, you're not going to get anything out of those numbers. That 2,000 is exactly what we're paying for our 29.
So go back to the other page 5. So this is a breakdown per number, right? So when I saw this, 880,000 hits in the last 30 days, I didn't realize and even data for us, for the roads and usage, and that is a lot of.
Because they're cutting through.
But it would only
high,
take, one event like, let's say 7-Eleven getting robbed, and
To
if
be
these cameras
quantifiable, it was
help
worth it. Yeah.
apprehend that individual, then that one event would be worth, a couple bucks per resident, in my opinion.
And that's how I look at it. How do you say, one arrest in domestic violence and you save the person? It's one person. If you have one is good enough. Yes,
This is
so
not gonna pick up
here
the
comes
rest of
Tony.
mine.
Just to have one, just some back, so I don't know if you saw a case in Collier County about a year and a half ago, where there was an attempted shooting of a man and woman causing accidents and both almost died. And Collier County SO was able to use a number of cameras from private businesses, these kind of cameras and traffic light cameras to track the movement.
Yeah.
And they actually did a timeline. It was, I don't know if you heard about that one.
I did hear about that
Yeah.
one, sir. The purpose of these cameras,
Because they follow their tags, they follow the
yes,
tags.
with these stats, at the end of the day, what these cameras do for the communities, it monitors their traffic volume, which you can see, that allows Gateway Community Development District to come in to make, as you say, informed decisions, future infrastructure planning, road maintenance, and safety plans. Safety plans such as evacuation for hurricanes. And we're in the thick of hurricane season, as everybody knows. That's why hopefully you will keep these cameras here. It's just, it helps you. You win in the long
If
run.
we're gonna sell these, I can tell you right now, not to disagree with what you're saying, but
Understood.
the only thing you're going to get the Joe on our street to agree to is security. This offers security.
Yeah, I agree. And then
That's all.
the other piece that I was, to Ed's point, I think there is two things we're looking at here. One, which directly impacts Gateway residents as a whole, is the impact to the Gateway resident. I think there is an additional benefit, which is to some of our communities, like Gateway Greens or where I live in Stony Brook, where there's also an inherent benefit of having them just at the entrances. We need better partnership and understanding on how, at the community level,
Yes, sir.
how having these cameras and the partnership with the county can help the communities mitigate issues like the ones that Ed had. Now, I do believe that's probably a different meeting for us. It's probably bringing you back for maybe a town hall with, and even maybe having Lieutenant Von come to our President's Council to talk specifically about
They
it.
will have a hit and no, because they can pass by Griffin, but they don't know where they're going, but they pass by Griffin and now they hit Pinewood, because
But if we
Pinewood
can
has.
leverage the data to help communities like Ed's or everyone's communities with some of their issues with obtaining some data and information, now that is a benefit that trickles down to the community level, which you can sell that all day long, and then the additional benefit is from the greater Gateway.
Are we suggesting that the communities are safer since 2022 than before? Because we spent $160,000. As far as I'm concerned, we may as well just throw it out.
If
The data that I would hope that Lieutenant Vaughn would be able to provide is,
Well, this
what
isn't
we document
This means
is,
nothing. We don't know where the people went. They just went by.
well, that's why the follow-up is, what is the byproduct of these cameras? How many arrests?
How many-
Whether
how many
it's
people
directly
were
related
dispatched?
to an event that happened within the community,
How
or
many officers
if there was an
were
arrest that was made as a result of being able to track through our community, even though the altercation or the violation might have happened outside of our Gateway walls. That's the one piece that we're.
Are these
Yeah, go ahead.
cameras, our cameras report to a big video screen in our office? Do these report to a place where the camera sees, it's hot, it's live?
Yes, that goes back to the real-time
So there's a place where
intelligence
they're
center.
live.
Is the real-time intelligence center
Okay.
being
And they're being
real
Have you been
time?
there?
And they're being monitored.
Okay,
And
good.
we-
I have visited. It's,
How many cameras are
we're
in there?
paying for it on our taxes, let me tell you.
How many cameras are in there, Claudia? How many cameras are
That's
in
my
there?
question.
Monitored?
Lee County Sheriff's Office, what is the total amount of cameras? I do have that data.
So you can turn a camera on and off. You don't have a person sitting there looking at 1,000 cameras all over Lee
What
County.
we have, and again, if you would be interested to tour the real-time intelligence center, Ms. Walsh will tell you, it's stated, we keep, it's not Big Brother or anything like that. We're not violating anybody's rights, but it monitors pretty much every county or every area in the county. It's a very valuable tool for us. But to answer your question, Bob, can I get back with you on that as the exact number of cameras we have in Arctic real-time intelligence, sir? Can I get back with you on that?
Someone's data is analysis paralysis.
Well, but you're not looking at 1,000 cameras at once.
No,
What's
it's-
happening is you're getting alert feeds.
We're
And
getting-
those alert feeds have,
But are they reacting to it? Is someone being dispatched to come over here?
Not all the time.
Any of the time?
Yes.
Once a day? Twice a day?
They don't know. It depends on what are they looking for.
There's 35, if my math is right, there's 35 incidents per day. How many come over? Let's do 35. And I'm not talking about the top four.
So instead of like pulling numbers out, let Vaughn get back to us
Okay.
with that number, but it's very similar to the fire department. if they have enough officers, I'll just go like this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. If they have enough officers and there's nothing going on in Lee County, and then suddenly they have those hits on those 3 areas that we don't care so much, they may send somebody over. But maybe there's a lot of things going on with Lee County, there are officers dispatched everywhere else. They don't have the ability to send somebody for a car tag that's expired. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're evaluating
I'm
on
not
that.
asking
So I
that.
think,
I don't
am I
care.
right?
No, you're right about that, Ms. Walsh. I get where you're coming from. Bob, I also hear what that's why I'm saying, let me, and you have my contact information, sir? Or do you have a business card?
Appreciate it.
Okay, I can give you a card in a few minutes when I'm finished.
I'm very cheap.
Bobby, can I-
That's a lot of money.
And
Okay,
then I
so,
have 2 questions.
so the question at hand was, is it worth the district to pay $40,000 a year
Did we get that?
in perpetuity for value?
Are we getting value?
Are we getting value? And so that answer remains, it's unanswered at this point. We don't have a direct correlation. We're gonna ask for Lieutenant Bond to either in writing provide that as a follow-up for the next meeting, et cetera. So the 2 actions that I have looked at is there any entertainment by the board to reduce the number of cameras? Let's start with that.
I just looking at the locations, I don't see anything in there that I would change.
Remove, yeah.
Not one.
So,
I do have, okay, so then either we reduce the location, we eliminate completely, or we keep it as is.
well,
Those are the 3 options.
No,
there's,
no. I'm sorry, I think there's a third option. This is a very valuable tool for your office. I understand that. But why am I paying the 40,000? You guys should pay the 40,000.
Absolutely.
You're getting the alerts. You're the ones that respond if it's something that's a safety issue.
so Carol, that was,
Why am I, as a member of this board, paying 40,000 a year when this is your tool to handle your responsibility? We can't go out and make any arrests or do anything about it. So honestly, I think there's a third option, is that we don't pay the 40,000 at all.
Okay. My question to you, and I don't think you know this, and then I wanted to follow up with an email this morning because I did make some calls. I wanted to know, what is the actual budget for Lee County Sheriff's Office for those cameras? What do they stand on the budgets, and generally the location they are installed? Because given that we as Gateway Service cover all the entrance, you guys are not spending any money here. However, like to Kara's point, we're paying for it. So maybe we would pay, I guess I would like to see the budget that you have set aside for those cameras, how much of the budget you're losing, and the locations, because if they're going just, Palm Beach Boulevard and Lehigh Acres and they're not here, then if you made that decision, then it's because there's no need. So if you made that decision, then we're gonna follow that decision, there's no need. If you're gonna tell me the decision there was no need is because we already put some up, then I think we can work halfway and say, look, you pick up some of the cameras, we have some of the cameras. So I think there's wiggle room for us to play within this, but without having those numbers, I can't sit and argue with you about it.
so I have a couple things. So one of the other, as part of the conversation I was having with the sheriff's office and Motorola was, was there an opportunity, A, to turn over the cost burden over to the sheriff? There's not an appetite for that, at least from the captain that I spoke with. Because obviously they don't have in their budget right now, that maybe that's something they could consider moving forward. But the second part of that was they've switched over to Motorola. So I said, well, could the district, and this was a question, which I'm still waiting on an answer, we're gonna follow up, is what if the district wrote a check as a one-time cost, turned over the system to the sheriff, and they maintained it from there on out? That was one of the questions that, and I mean, as part of an MOU or something like that, but my goal from here and from the get-go was to reduce the cost burden to our taxpayers and somehow maintain the existing level of service if possible. So, like I said, I have follow-up conversation with Flock. I'm hoping to be able to bring something back to you guys at the next meeting. The cost for Motorola was higher. There is always the option to procure at a very expensive cost, procure the cameras and then, like I said, turn them over to the sheriff. That was a couple $100,000 at all 16 locations. But again, the underlying question was, is there a way to save money or eliminate or reduce? And that's we still don't necessarily have an answer to that, but we're working in that direction.
How many of these cameras does Lee County LCSO have all over? Is everybody, are all of these cameras being paid for by somebody like us throughout the whole county? None of them are being budgeted by the county itself?
Well, once again, can I get back with you, and can we circle back that along with your request as far as the arrests that are made? If we can just circle back to that, because I don't have that information.
I can tell you right now, if my access control has access to this information, I'm all for it, because it means a lot to us. We spend a lot of time chasing a goose, and we can't get the data. This would give us the data immediately.
So maybe, I know we're short on time because you have 2 weeks to get this, but I will be willing to meet with you at the station. And I guess Ed would like to meet and see the operations. Okay, so then we'll have Bob and Carol, would you like to meet? Sure. Okay, so then we can just partner separately, yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I'll share all of your emails with Lieutenant Vaughn, your district emails, and that way he can reach out.
Okay,
So
so
not 7 for you.
So they can visit the facility. I don't need to visit the facility. I would like to have a sit down talk more into the number side.
Yes, ma'am.
So budgeting and that kind of stuff, but then maybe you and I will just go like later tomorrow, I'll call you.
Where's it located?
It's located at the Sheriff's Office headquarters. If you're going on 6 Mile Cypress going towards 41, it's on the north side of 6 Mile, just before you get to US 41.
Before Pop Golf.
Exactly, thank you.
All right. So any other questions for Lieutenant Vaughn? Because I think we gave it to him so he can do some homework.
Where did you say?
Okay.
What?
All right, thank you.
Can I pass off my
Sure, absolutely.
business card over here, please? Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
There you go, kind sir.
Thank you very much.
And I think you have mine.
I've got you.
Ready?
You are in my contact list.
Yes, there you go. And I know who you are, ma'am. You should have, your husband should have my information.
He does.
Okay, thank you.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Be in touch.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we'll go ahead and do 11B. Okay.
So I'll kind of just give a little background history. So if you recall, maybe a year or 2 ago, Daniels Parkway Apartments, I call it the boot over there that's undeveloped on Daniels. They had come in and asked about tying into the irrigation system, and because it was cost prohibitive, if there was alternative measures to, for us to tie into our system and be a customer. And then also, part of that conversation was the design of their system, was the design of their system and our needs, et cetera. So a year later, we have Tony and Tetra Tech and staff and the developer have spent many moons together talking about how to come to some type of compromise. So what we have in front of you are 2 agreements. One is a temporary interim well agreement, and then the second is a cost-sharing upsize agreement. This is not final approval of the development itself, but the developer needs these agreements at least
Substantially final form.
substantially, thank you, Tony.
To finalize their civil plans and site plans.
What are they upsizing that's in that location that's beneficial to
Their
us?
mains, they had only proposed like a 10-inch main in our
Are you talking
system.
about irrigation?
Potable.
Oh, okay, because we've got different subjects going
Yes.
here. This here is predominantly for the irrigation wells.
The wells are.
But what you're saying is that they are going to do some internal work that would allow us to connect point A to point C with a stronger system.
That will enhance.
That's a separate issue.
Yeah, that's right, it's 2 separate agreements.
Okay, so, but let's go back to the deal. What is IQ? Where did that ever come from?
Irrigation quality.
Where'd that come from?
I put that in because I've seen that in other agreements. Shire County uses that in theirs also. Irrigation quality.
The thing they're doing is that they have, based on what they say, I don't agree with it, but based on what they say is they cannot get access to our irrigation system. We'll drop that. So instead, they want to put in wells. They're putting in 4 wells. Are those wells going to be connected to a tank? Where's the water go that comes out of these wells? Like ours goes into a tank and then is repumped into the system. How are they doing it?
Well, Brennan, do you want to come speak to it?
Yeah, part of the,
Just introduce yourself.
they already have, they applied for and obtained a water use permit. We did not know that, but they have one in place. And the site plan shows the proposed locations for the wells. But as far as any other facilities, that's a good question.
Yeah, I couldn't tell from the picture, are you pumping into a tank or are you pumping into a lake?
I
Or are you
understand.
just going straight from the wells to the irrigation system?
We could do the lakes, or we could do just groundwater. I don't know if that's been finalized yet. We probably have to go back to South Florida Water Management District with our running.
So if your irrigation system in one of your common areas calls for water,
Mhm.
the pump comes, one of the wells, I figure, activates.
It's gonna be metered, and Gateway will be.
That's what I was gonna say,
charging
it seems like to me, it's gotta go through either a storage tank
Mhm.
or into
Like a
a,
lined pond. Like
Oh,
Dunkin' does.
there are 4 ponds in the lake, and I don't know specifically if one was gonna
because I
be,
couldn't tell that from the
subject.
information I saw.
yeah.
Brennan, just introduce yourself, please, for the record.
Brennan McAlery with Atwell
Okay.
Engineer, Civil Engineering.
Okay, well, that was the thing I was trying to figure out, is it's totally internal,
Mhm.
you're monitoring the water, and we're getting paid or compensated back for the water that they use, but they incur all the capital costs to build this infrastructure.
And maintenance stuff, they do all that. The district has access to verified meter readings and also the, the system, the functioning of the meters and everything else.
Because at this point in time, this system, it looks like, I don't see any advantage to us to have a piece or a stake in this. What's it gonna do for us? We've got a system.
So the.
It's not going to be interconnected to our system.
That's correct.
So-
Is that correct?
That's correct. That's a standalone internal only for the project.
So two advantages to what they're proposing that are advantages to the district is right now, our supply and demand in a deficit to the demand. So we're getting all of the sewage from their development without having any demand on our system, on our irrigation system. So that's one benefit. The second benefit is,
Water in, no water out.
yes.
Okay.
The second benefit is we're going to be compensated by the amount of water that they're pulling based on our fee schedule, because that is in lieu of tying into
Our system.
our system.
I got it.
Yeah, and part of it, I think, they have to resubmit. The last submittal was earlier this year. I think the last comments from staff was March of this year. And there's a lot of technical aspects to those comments. But the biggest item was trying to wrap up and finalize these agreements. And they have to come back for resubmittal to the board to address Tetra Tech's issues, my issues, staff issues, and provide the detail, Ed, that you just brought up today. Shovel plan, site planning, the whole 9 yards. That's correct?
Correct.
So they're seeking.
Good point, good
the
question,
district's-
Was there a water, if you're taking and bringing this water out of the mid Hawthorne, what are we, 200-300 feet? Is that what the depth is?
Oh, the depth, 150 or to 200, I thought I saw on
Okay,
the.
so, but can you bring that water out? I didn't read all that on the permit, that's boring. Can you bring, my question is, can you bring that water out and put it into one of our ponds? And is there a water quality issue of sodium or those type of things?
I don't have the answer to that, but I could get back to
The
you.
last thing we need is to have that kind of stuff
No,
in
Yeah,
our
you would, yeah,
pond system.
I agree.
we wouldn't take that pond as part of it, so that would be the responsibility of.
Yeah, but it's connected into our system. So we're gonna have the consequences of whatever
Well,
goes
they
in that
haven't
pond.
constructed it yet, so it doesn't have to be tied in, it doesn't have to be tied into our system.
Where's the water gonna go?
So irrigate their flowers. Well,
It's part of the waterway system, the gateway, isn't it?
they haven't constructed the 4 ponds that they're proposing.
Okay.
Well, I think, Ed, when
I just thought
that's
they connected it.
but that's the point, when they do the resubmittal. And Tetra Tech, hopefully Stephen's listening to review the plans that specifically we may have conditions of the approval.
Conditions would be, we would specify water quality tests at whatever.
If it's gonna get into our
Yeah.
water quality system,
That would
network.
be, that would be,
Yeah,
that would have to be a
that's an issue.
requirement. That'd have to be a requirement.
Carol has a.
Yeah, I move to approve both of these agreements.
In substantially final form.
In what?
Substantially final form.
Right,
Thank you.
that's what I said.
And subject to the ultimate approval of the overall project.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I heard me say that.
Thank you.
I'll second.
So we have a second by, first, a motion by Carol, second by Doug, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lance.
But Ed, those are good points, and we'll make sure Tetra Tech is also aware of those when they review the submittals.
Yeah, because when you have an irrigation system, you gotta have either like a pneumatic tank or something to provide the pressure for the water to go to. To have a pump come on, I mean, lots of luck that your pump value is equal to the value of the water that's going out. I mean, you just don't do that. There's gotta be a control system.
Can you just make sure that we have, get Tetra Tech's input on the requirement for the quality?
Yes,
for the
it's
water
every
quality
quality,
test,
yes.
the frequency of that.
Good point, yes. Make sure they do that as part of the review for the policy. Thank you.
So this next item is a policy discussion, and this really has come to light as we have been doing our pond maintenance inspections, monthly pond maintenance inspections, identifying point repairs that are needed, and evaluating why those are caused. And so Paul and Stephanie, I have to give them kudos because they're the ones who put this together, and we had some internal conversations, had some conversations with Tony, is taking a page out of Pelican's book, who had the right mind to think forward in downspout drainage and rear yard drainage. We have identified a handful of issues throughout the district where there is a direct correlation where downspouts or lack of downspouts into the pond has caused major erosion on our pond banks. And so we wanted to bring this conversation in front of you. There's another CED that Tony identified in Collier County that has identified a policy, almost like a partnership, really, I want to call it, instead of a policy.
They have a master association. Yeah, because they have a master homeowners association for all the quarry. It's kind of like Pelican Reserve.
So part of this is working with property owners and implementing gutter downspout drainage that ties into a bubbler, exactly like Pelican did, to help prevent these erosions to our ponds.
This came up several years ago, and I thought we ran into the same corner with no way to get out. I don't mind the quarry deal, as long as you're going with the shared cost option. The problem is, I've looked at my HOA rules and covenants and all that, and unless, Tony, you can come up with something, I don't see how we can mandate an owner, two possibilities, an owner that's got gutters, that has downspouts, how you can mandate him to go from point A to point B, which might have to go 60 feet to get to the LME, to a bubble up or a box. That's issue one. Issue two, and the more complicated one, is he ain't got no gutters. How you gonna do that? Because I've had my people say, don't even try to go down this road with somebody.
So I'll have Carol, you want to say something, right?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask Bob, how did we do this in Pelican? That,
The pond group at the time made the determination that this was beneficial to our pond. So then we got to the point where PPAC voted to fund the installation of the drainage, not the outfalls. The next step was we went to every association and said,
every homeowner association?
Every HOA, every community, and said, we have a plan and we're going to put these, bury the downspouts and run it to pond. If we do that, will you pay to maintain them in the future? And they said yes.
So
when we went to the individual homeowners and
so
said, PPAC funded it.
Funded it.
Totally funded it.
The initial hook-in.
All of it.
Funded it.
All of it except for installation of downspouts. And in the
But
entire community, we only had one person refuse to put the.
Somebody's gonna grant an easement.
Okay, so then how did you get the maintenance transferred then? If we put them in,
We put it
we
in,
don't
and
have to
then
maintain
the
them?
individual HOAs blow them out, pump them out, do whatever once a year. Is it 100% being done? I don't know, but most of them are.
Okay, so that's how the process is working right now?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Chelsea, are you saying then that if we adopt this policy, that when we come to a future pond in Gateway, Because it sounds like we don't have to do this in Pelican. This would just be in Gateway. So, I don't know, pick a pond, 85, I don't know, pick a number. And let's say that's on our list to do next year. The cost of that project is going to be increased by the amount that it's going to take to put these bubblers in.
Depends.
The actual
Which-
2,000,
construction
we
of
spent
the bubble.
$2,000 on it.
It depends on which one of these options. you
On
go
each connection. Give it at the
Per
phone,
home.
yeah.
We spent $2,000 per home.
Before we even go to
Okay.
that, I do have some.
So it
questions.
depends how many homes around the
That are on a
pond.
pond.
This was more
Not
of
only on how many
a,
homes, how many connections, because you could have a downspout, you can have one home up to 3 downspouts coming into the pond, so that'll be a $6,000 for that particular home.
No. The one individual home, you have one that sits between the two homes. We only had to put in one line per home.
Yeah, but what do you have?
Okay, but
When we went to the
I
next
have,
one.
I have homes in my community that.
I've
they're
got 3.
Mainly the 2-story homes because they're smaller, so
Mhm.
they can't hold that much amount of water. They would have one downspout to the left,
And we
the
did that
house,
also.
one to the right, so you would
Well-
connect the 2 neighbors, but they have some that in the middle of the 2, where they have a lanai, they have a 3rd one.
Yeah, and all of it, no matter how many homes were between two homes, how many downspouts, all of it connected, and we sized appropriately. Think of it in terms, you have to put one per every home. So you got one on the right side of the home, but then there's one on the left side, but that's actually the next home. and
You
so
do it
on.
together, 82 did the, 83, we did the same
Yeah,
thing.
you only put in one per home, and it was roughly $2,000 a home.
Okay, so my question is for Paul, looking at the, I want to go back to the pictures, hold on, one second. Go back to the pictures that we have there. Okay. Are the damages caused exactly why? Is it because the pipe, it doesn't extend all the way to the lake, and then it extends maybe 3 or 4 feet prior to the lake, and that's where erosion starts?
Or it swales.
So, good afternoon, Board Supervisor. For the record, Paul Flores, Public Works Director. Yes, the photos that are in front of you is Lake 56, Village of Stony Brook. The drainage, the gutter pipe ends right at the building, next to the building, which very hard to see, but that right corner photo there, it ends there, and there's several feet from that gutter where it ends to the edge of the pond. But from that gutter, you can see the damage that it's causing, which is the photo on your left.
It's like swales.
Yes, exactly.
That's exactly, and that's what Gateway was made. It says right even on our covenants that you'll put in a swale that it'll either, the front half goes to the street, the back half goes to the lake.
Yes.
There's where we got a problem. This started 40 years ago with Westinghouse Gateways not knowing what the hell they were doing, but it was cheap.
Well, they do. They-
And now we're living with
So
it.
I will say this, given I'm going to go by data, on 83, we spent the money, we installed all of those in every single property, 86 homes just within a pond, 3 people connected.
Yeah, that's
So-
the problem.
So if they have gutters, they're more willing, but they still gonna have a cost. But if you're not spending $5,000 in gutters around your home, because that's the cost that you're gonna give it to each homeowner. So you think they're upset about an increase of $150 a year on their taxes? Wait until you tell them that they now have to put $5,000 in gutters, and then we're gonna bill them on their taxes for the other 2,000 or so that's gonna cost to the end. And it is something that, I know, Tony, remind me, but we talked about this. We could not enforce them to do it. So if they chose not to do it, and they created damages, we couldn't go after it, because I think that was a conversation with Pelican. It was more armstrong into, if you don't do it, and if there's
We told
damages
them
to
that,
it.
knowing we couldn't enforce it.
Exactly, so we're not being very clear here when Carol asked that question. The question was, they were told, the residents were told by Pelican that if you don't do it, and if there's damages, you're going to be responsible for it. So they were afraid, and they didn't.
That is
But
correct.
we cannot do that. So I want to be,
the point in the policy that we're trying to bring in front of you is to give residents a carrot, right? To, hey, Paul, they reached out to the Village of Stony Brook, and said, your downspouts have caused damage. Working with them and telling them that it's apparent that this issue was caused by your downspouts, you need to address this, you damaged our properties. But part of the carrot is, hey, because we don't want them to touch our pond bank, is if we do the bubbler to the pond on a case-by-case scenario, and maybe it's something we evaluate with, like, the whole pond thing. I didn't even go that far. But this was hey, we've identified these erosion issues. We are not compliant with our pond standards and our permit. Enticing property owners by saying, hey, we're going to invest and help with this drainage issue if you do your part. That was the point.
But that is a huge cost. I remember the cost of my wallet. There was a huge cost to put in those amounts and not having, it was not even a 50-50 return that they would do it. The cost benefit.
When they went by my house, that was one of the first ponds, they were putting in the boxes at the corner of every lot. And that gave you the opportunity, there was 2 connections coming into the box. So your neighbor could come in, you could come in, then you go to the other side, and you could come in with a second deal, and your neighbor could come in.
Yes.
That's how I did it.
That's how
So I
we
just
did it.
connected from my 2 drains and went right straight down to the box. A lot of people just said, I'm not doing it. I'm not spending the money.
The concern that we have is, look, we need to get into compliant with our DO or permit with this erosion. We're going to spend the money to fix the problem, but if we don't permanently fix the issue, we're going to keep spending money.
Absolutely. That's what we.
That was in taking Pelican's concept was, could we implement a policy and put some dollars aside and say, hey, we have this amount of budget every year to work with property owners, as long as there's easements, as long as there's everything else.
Justin, what you're going to get into is going to
Not
get into a
compliant.
he said, she said like this. I went out and I spent the $2,000 to hook mine up. My neighbor's causing a problem and you want to come up with a system that's going to borrow money that I'm going to pay for again. You make them do it.
I'll remind the board that the board did change the permit criteria manual to provide for this. So for our neighborhood of Prado and Besoya, the builder had to put it in.
But that's half, we're talking,
I know.
it's all, we're all built up.
I know.
With the exception of, so what is the number? Can you tell me a number of point repairs that you think needs to be done caused specifically by this?
I would say majority of what we're dealing with, or that we've dealt with, have to do with gutter
I need a
system.
number, like,
Rooftop.
you
I will
have 30, because if you come in and you say that 99% of the point repairs are caused by this, but then that number is 7 homes, then it's not worth it for us. Now, if you come to us and you say it's 60%, but 3,000 homes, then it's worth it for us. I just have a hard time creating a policy that is not enforceable when the people don't have gutters. And they're having a heart attack with the increase of the taxes on the assessments for $100. Now you're gonna force them to put $5,000 worth of gutters. It's just not gonna happen.
And if I could just clarify, I do apologize. It's not our intent to enforce or force anyone to install gutters, but if you have a gutter down and it's coming down and it's not connected to a downspout or a bubbler, that's where we're seeing these issues. So
Right.
it is the gutters that are causing the issue, not so much necessarily the rooftop without gutters.
So we're talking about 20 feet, right? So LME is 20 feet. So you're telling me that the water is coming with so much velocity prior to the 90 feet LME that is causing this? Because if it is within the LME, then we have a leg to stand on it, because we can say you encroach on an LME and you brought it up to here. So you have 2 choices: either remove it out of the LME, which is going to give you 20 feet for the water to be dispersed properly, or you have an option to bring it all the way to the pond.
In other words, they fix the swale.
Exactly.
They fix the swale, which is on their property. Now, that is an issue. And I'm telling you, because I've seen it all around Gateway, the people that don't have gutters, and the way Gateway was set up, was it was set up to go to swales. And it would take half the yard goes to the street, half the yard goes to the lake. That's the way all the Gateway was set up. A lot of those swales have filled up over the years, and there's been no maintenance. And the ones that are maintained, they get down there, and if they don't have them taken to where the water is distributed, they cause the rutting that you talk about. It's a nightmare.
If you look at the photo that's in front of us,
That's exactly what it looks
on
like.
the left, whether there's a downspout or not, the water goes between the 2 homes and goes to the pond. What we're looking at is the effect of that, because the water permeates under the sod and the sand, and that's what causes the washout. the soil below the grass gets washed, and that's what creates the.
We got a lot of these, there's no doubt.
Butler system
I just don't know how to
prevents
fix
it.
it.
So a couple things, and again, I am just spitballing here, I'm not saying that this is, even viable. It sounds like what we have spent significant amount of money is to, through our lake bank restoration project, is to bring, for sake lack of a better term, to bring our ponds up to code and to, let's call it par. If we have spent that money,
21 million.
then what should happen once that occurs is there should be some type of quantifiable time period to which we would have to do it again, maybe some maintenance, whatever. Probably running into is we've put forth this effort and there are things outside of our immediate control, like, maybe improper swell maintenance or downspouts or whatever. One thing we could think about is, once we complete this project and we determine that a pond is at a certain standard, and then we will do maintenance repairs within certain criteria. If there is erosion or if there is any type of damage that happened as a result, if those homes surrounding contribute to that, then it could be a special assessment to those homes that contribute, as opposed to
I totally agree with that,
making
but I
everyone,
think Tommy said I could do that.
like,
No, if they specially benefit from it, that's really, the text is what
and
it is.
the difference is the way we've been,
But it's an integrated, connected stormwater management system.
but my point is, the way we've gone about this is everyone in Gateway contributes to the lake bank restoration project in order for us to get all of the ponds to.
Whether you live in it or not.
Whether you live or not. But if we complete that, and we have done our due diligence and brought up to a certain standard, if there is deterioration or if there are adverse, things that happen that accelerate or cause continued erosion or those types of things, that should almost fall outside of everyone in Gateway having to pay for repeat repairs when there is.
You would think.
Some type of mitigation that would come into place. So I'm not saying that
There's a
we do this, but
there's a responsibility.
but once we say we're paying all to hit a certain standard, if that standard, if there is a repair or something that's happened because of lack of maintenance, then I think our path is to special assess or to pass that additional cost, which would be outside of the standard schedule, to the homeowner that that incurs it. And it's more complicated than that.
I recognize this is touchy, I really do.
Yeah, let me ask you, how many are those are recurrent? I will go on the issue.
It's, at this point, I cannot answer that, given the fact that I've only been here for a few months. But what I've noticed is that rooftop drainage systems are the biggest cause for washouts. And we're trying to figure out, or at least I'm trying to figure out, how to protect the investment that the community is making on the lake bank restoration projects.
Well, here's a good example too. Just one quick thing. One example is there are a number of homes that have had pools installed. As a result of that, the overflow
Causes a washout.
That
is
and
very
because
true.
there wasn't I don't believe there was
Effort to drain.
an effort, well, or even to check to make sure that the erosion or the what's the word I'm looking for?
The runoff.
The run that is at what it should have been, because anytime you dig out, they're not taking that dirt away, they're just rolling it back or regrading it, which changes the control elevation, which creates issues. I mean, I see it, I have that problem in my house.
You bring up a very good point. Yes, pools and rooftops are the biggest cause for washouts.
So again, this would cure the rooftops, but wouldn't cure, usually pools are right in the center of the property, so you wouldn't take care of that issue.
But they have that responsibility right now.
Well, they have the responsibility of if they cause any damage.
Yeah, if the pool drainage is causing a washout behind you, I believe we have the right to go in and tell them, no, fix it.
They don't have to fix it. If
They damage their pond.
if they tell us, it is our responsibility. The permit, we are responsible for maintaining the ponds to those standards. So yes, we can come to you and after and tell you to do it, but if you don't pay, we have no recourse of going after you, right, Tony?
Well, a couple of things. One is, I'll back up a bit here. The quarry, if you look at the quarry, the key difference on the quarry is that they have an association with standards for drainage. They have a master association. And throughout this agreement, you'll see reference to the standards and the rules, and the association will do this, the association will do that on behalf for the district.
It's very different than what we have.
Very different. Pelican Reserve may be comparable, depending on the covenants. And back to the question, how did Pelican Reserve do it back then? One of the big questions I had at the time was, does the district have the necessary easements in those open areas for the expenditure of public funds to install those pipes? And after
On private land. Yeah.
Right, after looking at the two sets of covenants for Pelican Reserve, there's language in there that and all the condominium association documents and all the homeowners association documents are all subject to those master covenants, provides an easement over all the, basically the open areas in favor of the district. So that gave the district the ability, or not particularly want to pay for the installation of those pipes going to the bubble ups in the district's ponds or lakes. When you come to Gateway, to Ed's point also, the South Florida Water Management District permit from 40 years ago. If you look at the drainage flows, it's just a bunch of little arrows. It doesn't always indicate you're going to have a structure other than overland to convey the water. And so that's part of the problem. But to the point, if a person builds a pool or puts additional fill in their yard, which increases the flow of water off the land, other than what was originally designed, I think the district should send them a letter saying, listen, you are having continuing trespass of water onto the district ponds or water management system, not really ever contemplated, and you don't have any structures or mechanism to have a point discharge or a bubble up.
I'd like to see an
really
inventory of all of our ponds
Without an issue with
and
that.
how many we really have, because
I don't think it's that much, and so this is what I was gonna just correct you on this. It is not necessarily an investment on the projects. The reason why I say is because on the new projects, when we're doing the ponds, if they have downspouts that's going out, you're already connecting it. So there's no questions there. This is specifically for point repairs and areas that we are not doing the lake bank restoration. So that's my question. There are one-offs. And are we having pushback? Are we having conversations with the homeowner and saying, hey, John, we are here, we're gonna work on this is what's causing, are they giving us pushback? Because that's a one-off and that's a conversation with it. And I don't think that's happened. And I'll tell you, I know you're not been here for a while, but I've worked really close with Al, and we share a lot of things. I do not recall, and you can provide that we had this issue with point repairs that were caused and repaired multiple times, and I'll go every 2 years, because that's, to me, you don't have to repair every 2 years. I don't recall any. Because either there was a conversation and education with the homeowner, because they didn't want that there, and say, look, we're gonna come and fix it, and this is caused by this, either you, because I remember a lot of the conversations were, you just need to extend the pipe 4 more feet. No big deal, they didn't have to do the whole thing. So I have a hard time spending the money ahead of time on link projects for massive adding on of those bubblers, because again, they don't have gutters and they don't have connections, so it's that. And unless you come and you're telling me, look, we're doing point repairs, and within 1 year, within 2 years, I'm back at the same location doing point repairs, then it's different. But I don't think you're gonna be able to provide me with that data. Does that make sense?
Yes and no, because my understanding, and historically, the district was taking the approach of installing drain boxes and asking for the homeowner to voluntarily connect. But that program did not survive very much longer, and I think it was discontinued about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think there was an attempt to try to get.
Right, because there was no method of compliance.
Right, so what I'm seeking, or what we're seeking today, is maybe some guidance as to how do we get compliance? Do we need a rule? Initially, we were going to present a policy, but Tony kind of corrected us and told us, no, you gotta, take a timeout. You need a rule before you start establishing any sort of policy. So that's why we're here before the Board of Supervisors, just to get some direction.
So maybe the direction that I really need before anything is from Tony to see what can we really do? Can we do anything? Can we hold them their feet to the fire with a reasonable, cost to them? Because again, I'll be totally opposed of forcing them to spend that.
Yeah, and again, there's a problem, there's not a problem. There's a difference between Pelican Reserve and Gateway.
Yeah, I'm
Because
talking
Gateway-
about Gateway. I think Pelican Reserve has an understanding
And
and
their covenants,
mindset, and their education of their needs are totally different. They're ahead of us.
Right, and they have a set of
They're
covenants.
very ahead of us, and
We sold.
I'm just thinking about Gateway. What can we do? Can we fix the item and then issue them a fine for not doing it?
Fines.
That's what I remember the conversation.
Could you put it in and put a lien on the property?
No.
I'm asking a conversation that I
I guess
asked
a couple
5
of
years
things.
ago.
Well, one thing is, a lot of redevelopments occurring. We've talked about that too. We have the permit criteria manual initially geared for development. And then a few years back, I think the board realized, hey, redevelopment, the whole idea about when somebody comes and wants to redevelop, they need to start doing things, and or when they're building new structures like aerators and all those, that was never really in the old rules.
We're putting a bond there.
We're putting a bond in. So now we have redevelopment, or if someone, to the point about someone putting a pool in a patio or some additional impervious area in their yard, that might be a point of entry where they need to get the district's approval of that, because that alters the drainage pattern and flow of water into the district's ponds. Then the district would have the opportunity to have, in a rule, require them to come to the district and provide a set of plans and show how they're going to have the discharge and outfall in an appropriate manner. So that we can do on a prospective basis. But the problem is that requires Lee County building departments and the community development departments coordination, and they're not very good at that in the district in the past.
We actually had some of the 4-story buildings that didn't have downspouts when we started the project, so they weren't included. And now they've all put in downspouts, and they've all gotten their drainage. I mean, we didn't ask them to do it, they just saw the benefits and did it. I don't know that the residents are going to be as negative as some of us think they are, and I don't know all you people, maybe they will, but it's been just very encouraging that the people themselves see the benefits.
And part of the problem
I
with
think the
that,
policy isn't ready for prime time yet.
I agree.
I agree.
Well, so Paul hit the nail on the head. We wanted to get your feedback on, the direction moving forward, keep doing repairs. Is there a way to dangle that carrot and, make it a partnership type thing? So we've got a little bit more homework we'll do, and bring this back to you guys in a handful of
Well,
months.
And they give us some numbers too.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that's what I was gonna say. So if you can bring us the total amount of point repairs that are needed out there, because if we're doing checks once a month, you should be able to give me that. How many were already repaired and they're being reoccurring? And then what I think is the easiest solution, because I have walked the ponds in Gateway when I was in ponds for a long time. What I have seen a lot is that they do have downspouts and they come all the way off like 3 or 4 feet from the pond, and that's what's created. If that's the case,
it's easier.
we'll be easier because we don't tell them, hey, you are encroaching on the alley.
In trespassing into our
And
pond.
so that we can hold them to. So it is a lot of work, but I'm thinking if you go to a pond and there's 10 issues, and from those 10 issues, 3 of them are, yes, it's somehow the water is going 40 feet all the way down and it's still creating this, which I don't think that's happening, but if there's something shorter that we can hold them accountable to do on the alley. So
It's
I think-
very fact specific.
And if you can take the
But
bi-monthly
you guys have
newsletter
that. I see.
that we put out, and maybe start to prep people for the value of doing this. Hey, folks, we spent $21 million on their ponds, and our public works is looking at this, we can help ourselves.
Yeah.
If.
Well, and that's.
But that's not true, because we are not addressing the $21 million project. We are already addressing that issue, because if they have it, we're not connecting.
But how do we
So
protect that investment?
But not all of them have it, so that could be a challenge as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scenarios in play.
We are.
This would be a good opportunity for us to, this is
A
a.
workshop.
This is a workshop.
Your bigger problem is it's like on my house. You go in front of my house, you don't know that my 2 gutters on both sides are connected into the deals. Nobody has that information. So how are you going to get that information?
You can't go look.
How are you going to see it?
Well,
You
when
just
the
see it
house
goes
comes
in the
down,
ground, you don't
does
know
it
where
hit
it
a
goes.
splash pad, or is there something that?
No,
Like a French
you-
drain, but if you
the
have a
only thing
French
you can
drain,
go
it's
by is
always
if you
has
see a
water.
gutter and the 4-inch tile looks like
It's
it's
a
heading
hole.
toward the lake. That's the only thing, but you don't know that it goes to the lake.
I mean, Rosemont is a prime example of that. We, you know, they had downspouts, but we didn't know where they ended.
Well,
where
just
they
like that
terminated.
house we just
Yes,
worked on.
exactly.
Yeah.
When
Exactly.
you're looking at the end of your downspout, Ed, what do you see?
Do what now?
When you look at the end of your downspout, standing at the corner of the house,
You got a 4-inch tube going right straight into the ground.
and you don't know where
But
it
you don't know
goes.
where it goes. I know where it goes, but we don't know where it
Right.
goes.
And then
We
I
don't know
think-
who's connected to the, remember, we put in all the bubblers. And we came up with a deal that we were spending a lot of money putting in those bubblers because people weren't using them. Well, the main reason people weren't using them is they don't have gutters.
And then
They don't
also,
have gutters.
another thing that's very different in the public preserve, and here is the oak trees. We have a huge quantity of oak trees, and then some of those homeowners are putting the perforator pipe, some were not. And you know, those oaks, they were straight to those pipes.
Perforated pipes
And
with clogged.
sometimes with 1 year, they would go in and crack it, and what we've seen, it literally looked like a pimple in the yard, because halfway into the yard, that connection was broken, and then who's responsible? Homeowner, there's nothing to do about it. So I think it's just, it's very wishful, and it's a lot of, yeah.
It's a good conversation that I'm glad we had.
Yes.
So we'll continue this on in the future, but it's.
Again, there are a lot of
It's not ready for prime time.
So I will say in the interim, Paul and Stephanie, you know, we're working on drafting like a template, like a nice letter to say, hey, you know, our staff have identified this in our inspections caused by you, please, you know, we'd be happy to meet with you on site, but this needs to be resolved type thing. Just a nice letter like a notification, so.
I mean, if they really want to do the work, then we already have, what, 87 HOAs? They can look at the HOA documents, and then they can find out specifically, can we do it or not? I mean, if you're gonna do the work, then some of them, you may not even have to have a nice conversation, because what you want is covered under the documents, like the query, and you're just gonna do it anyways. So it's a lot of work, and I don't think it's something they're gonna be able to do it in 3 months, because there's a lot of HOAs. Look at their documents, they're available online.
It's a good conversation.
Right. And just to clarify, we'll continue to contact the resident and see if we can get cooperation. I mean, that's always going to be our first approach.
We'll send Ed over, you just let them know.
I just got done
You
with
didn't give him the list.
silver tongue devil.
All right, thank
All
you,
right,
Paul.
thank you.
Moving right along.
All right, back to
Thanks,
budget.
Paul.
Alright. So anything else on the budget?
Do you want me to read it
Did
officially?
did
what we
Stephen
did?
come up with any
Sure.
numbers?
Yeah,
Did Stephen come up
He
with
won't
any
be able
numbers?
to until we get together, because I
We're gonna
have
get to you by Monday.
encumbered numbers, so
We
whatever
only
he
have
gives
9
you.
minutes between the 2 meetings, too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get it to you by Monday. if not-
So do you want to read it? Sure, let's go
Okay.
ahead and read it.
So the changes that are proposed, I have 3 takeaways from the last meeting, which we were doing, but the changes that are proposed are, these are in the general fund, the littoral restoration, take that to 25,000. Parks and Rec utilities irrigation, take that to 23,000. Rename the utility streetlights. License plate readers, we're still having those discussions, and then Chelsea has a takeaway as well for street sweeping costs, look into the resale.
And the last ad, we've been talking, and Laura and I and Sherry have been talking about that $100,000 that you gave us. I think what we're gonna do is COLA. We're running some numbers, but I believe we'll be able to reduce that $100,000, reduce it some, so that way, but that is the approach I think we're gonna take to address the staffing, so.
Of all the options that we looked at, that was the one that looked like everyone, it would benefit everybody.
Percentage, so.
All right, so nothing else on the budget? District manager item, do you have anything
The
else?
only thing I have is, thank you Carol for reminding me, make sure you guys do that ethics training. Make sure you get that done and then send your certificates to Laura and myself,
Did I
please.
send my letter to you? 'Cause I didn't
We
get it.
sent
Can we kick the can down the road?
No, you gotta do it every year.
I know that, but I still got 4
End of the
months.
year.
End of the year.
End of the year.
But you have to do it as soon as possible.
Easy to do.
I don't
Just turn
think
it on, Ed.
Boring.
Then you go, just turn it on.
I
do other
will-
Oh,
things.
but you didn't do that.
I
You
did.
were paying
I paid
attention the
attention to
whole
every word,
time.
and I took the
Thank
test
you.
to pass.
I saw the notes, yeah.
All right, I will send a reminder to you all tomorrow with the link.
Don't send it.
So who's,
You did.
you and Bob have taken it?
I'll pay it.
And Doug?
Not yet.
For 50 Ed, for $50, I'll take it for you.
I
ask Chelsea to send me the link again.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you guys
All
tomorrow.
right. Anything else, Chelsea?
No.
All right. District Attorney Tony.
Just a couple of things. I've been monitoring some of the new statutes that were adopted this year and passed them on to Chelsea. We need to incorporate certain items in the contracts. The legislature modified processes for processing change orders for construction services, a very short window. The governor signed up late June, effective July 1st. Gotta love that. And then certain other things that the board can or cannot take into account when reviewing construction contracts. On the Gateway Greens, I've got to Mark Adamczyk this week after one of our paralegals did some nice graphic work, proposed final documents to wrap that up. Mark's double checking it.
I told Mark to get with you and get it done.
So that should be wrapped up and ready to record. So I appreciate Mark's efforts on that. With regards to LSI, contacted Justin Tebow, LSI companies. They do a lot of commercial work in the commercial realtor, just to see if he would have a group, maybe give a proposal to get some indications of value of those two parcels at Colonial and Tree Line, because they're zoned general commercial under the Pelican Reserve Special Development Area regulations. I don't know if there are any other encumbrances on that, but I should get something back in a week or so, like an initial, basically a spitball indication for proposal, because I don't have all the information that he needs to be able to do.
Just on those signs.
Yeah, in the parcels, on his two parcels. Because if you look at the aerial photographs, you see these other out parcels up there that are smaller than these parcels.
Yeah.
So developers, whether they can be used for additional parking or for some other out parcel like a small bank, small drive-through. Again, LSI, there's a lot of nice commercial projects.
So while you brought that up, Doug, did you have any, you were gonna talk to some commercial realtors and just see if there's any interest in anything, or? Did you have
Signs, those.
There's two parcels.
The Tree Line and Colonial, the two monument signs that say Pelican Preserve?
Yeah, I did reach out to two people, and I don't know if I have to get back. I don't think there was a whole lot of follow-up on that.
Okay.
And I did reach out to Lamar, which is the big billboard company, and I don't, they replied back and say that because of county or city codes and things that it's not possible, but I think Tony and I were talking like we're government, so.
Do you really want that?
Well, that is a potential revenue source if Pelican chose to keep the monument, keep those parcels, and potentially pursue that if they so chose, Pelican, PPAC so chose, so.
You know, exploring all options.
Yeah.
And Doug, I'll be with you and chat about LSI also. Justin Tebow, he puts on a seminar and conference each year also on market trends. Really nice people.
Well, if we could just, on a casual basis, keep it in the back of our minds, and if an opportunity arises to mention it and just see if there's any interest.
Yep, we can do that.
Most hooks have bait. I don't know if that hook has a bait,
No, it
bait on it.
Well, honestly, I don't know if anybody is interested.
But people
I
may
mean,
not
maybe
think,
because
well,
of where it's located and the position and
Well, they
the
teach us
size of it
like-
and everything, nobody's gonna be interested in it ever.
It's good for a monument, that's it.
Yeah.
and again, that's part of the conversation with LSI, because again, as I looked at it, I see a lot of redevelopment going on. You can see that here in Gateway. And I see that in Naples, where they're tearing down two-story buildings that have been around for 30 years, boom, they're putting something else up. I mean, they're taking down old bank buildings and putting a 7-Eleven. It's just the redevelopment is really going on, big time. And again, you look at an area, you see that those two parcels are larger than some of the out parcels in those shopping centers. And people probably don't even think that they're available because they think it's probably signage that's part of that shopping center, and not a separately owned parcel. On the criminal mischief case, the issue with regards to the tour by the big truck of the district facility, tearing everything up. Flavia received a call from an assistant state attorney assigned to the case. She gave me my contact information. I had a number of conversations. I had the name and telephone number of the defense counsel that the young man and or his family have retained. And I'll be having conversations with, I talked to Chelsea and Flavia briefly, with that defense counsel in the next week before the next board meeting, to have a conversation about compensation to the district, and maybe come back to the board with a resolution of it at the next board meeting. The It's a felony level criminal mischief case because of the amount of money involved in the damages. And I do appreciate the assistant state attorney. He was a prosecutor, became a judge, retired as a judge. Now he's back being a prosecutor, John Drury.
And this is criminal, not civil.
It's criminal, but the district could on its own do a civil case, but in the criminal case, restitution can be ordered and the expense of having a criminal case is, it's not inexpensive to hire an attorney for a criminal case. Yeah, no, it's an incentive.
It's not inexpensive to hire an attorney for anything.
Well, criminal cases are even more unique, believe me. With regards to, on Santa Luz, I sent another letter to the attorney for U.S. Home, and I think you saw that. He would basically tell us by August 15th what we're going to do. We'll come back to the board. I think we may end up having to sue U.S. Home for trespass, and we'll find out who that vendor is. We need to find out who the vendor was. That's like a mystery that may have gone along and crushed the pipe, which results in all the other issues.
You're talking about Santa Luz?
Yeah, the Santa Luz.
It had to be the guy that was putting the sod down.
Yeah, nobody seems to know that person's name. But I do appreciate the cooperation of the attorney for the Santa Luz Condominium Association, Robert Cooper, very helpful. Good working with him, so that's all I have.
Did we ever close on Stony Brook?
One of the things, that's right, I was gonna say, we are 99.99% there. This has been the week of nits. When the U.S. Home finally came through and gave us information we've been waiting on for 6 weeks. And so I've revised the agreement, with an effective date of August 8th. So I brought it so Flavia can sign it again.
Margaret's here to sign it too.
I'm sorry? And so Katie's been in the loop and Alan's been in the loop on all those. And so U.S. Homes Council finally gave us almost, we have one more blank to fill in, but I'm saying everybody signed it regardless. And we made some other changes that U.S. Homes wanted that were not substantive, but help them, give them some comfort level, not detrimental to the district, in my opinion. So.
But this was going to be done by the end of July.
Well, it was done
We're
by
now in August.
the Stony Brook and the district by the end of July, pretty much. I think that's a fair statement. We've been working hard.
Is it going to be done by August 8th
Well,
or 9th?
Yesterday and today, we're going through and I was finally getting feedback from council from U.S. Home as to other edits need to be made. Oh, because we changed the date to the 25th, you need to change it throughout. So I've been doing all that. So we're at the 99.99% point. And I do appreciate the council for Stony Brook and so the folks. We're very much working with them.
The question was no.
We're there, we're almost there, Carol.
Whatever you want, Kara, what do you
Carol, no,
think?
Carol.
It's a legal
We're
issue.
almost there. We are this close.
It's a legal.
I learned not to put a date to this because they're
Oh my
gonna blow it out
goodness.
the water either way.
I put a date in with 2 weeks
What
behind.
was that famous person that said, it ain't over till it's over?
Right.
Yeah.
We're counting
Yeah,
down.
we were so optimistic, we put a date of July 25th in there, and that didn't happen, so.
All right, anything else?
No,
Ken?
no.
Okay, so future board business, anything on the agenda management that you want to add to Chelsea?
I just
So I
want
think the next meeting's all about budget and the town, and
We
the
will-
public hearing.
we'll have food preview at the next meeting because it'll be a late one, but you'll notice that September, a lot of things we really don't have much planned for the September meetings, but keep plugging along.
What is that next workshop, President's Council meeting?
October?
October?
Where's the next meeting, 21st?
Here.
It is going to be here.
Yeah.
So we got an overflow.
At the church.
At church, so we're here. Supervisor's comment, Carol?
Yes. I was thinking about the Commons Park, and one of the things, obviously, that you want is to be able for people to get there. Maybe not necessarily drive, but ride a bike, walk, run, whatever. And there's probably some areas where maybe something wasn't developed, so you've got a break in the sidewalk somewhere or something else like that. And Pelican also has that area on Tree Line Avenue from where C5 ends to where the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center starts, that there's no sidewalk. So you could cross at the light if you were on a bicycle or a golf cart or something like that. But you can't get over to the Winn-Dixie part because there's no sidewalk.
You gotta cut across the road.
Right. Tony, is there any way that the district could fill in blanks like that?
You must have been on
Sidewalk
some-
areas?
Were you listening to the calls that Chelsea and I have been having when we're on this for?
No.
I mean,
Because I've kind of asked you about this before and nothing's ever come of it, so now I'm bringing it up at the meeting, to be honest.
We've had some conversations on the parcel along tree line, that's called C4. And it's owned by Cameron, I think, and it's developable, and it's being assessed by the district.
Well, no. I'm not talking about specifically one particular parcel. I'm talking about all of the area in the gateway.
The district could do that if it's in a public right of way, or if the district has an easement, yes, the district could.
We could install it at our cost, but we would not be able to recoup it from the property.
That's correct.
We could not?
No.
So
Oh.
I did reach out to the city of the unique of that parcel, that area specifically. Bob called me separately and asked me about that. Is obviously when they develop, they would be required to connect the two points. Tree line right of way is the county, but the development order would be with the city. So I reached out to DOT Lee County and I posed the same question. He told me what permits would be required by the county. I reached out to the city to see if they could connect the two, and the public works director for the city kicked it to the engineer, and I'm waiting to hear back from their city engineer.
Okay.
Yeah, part of the process is assuming there were not any sidewalks in those areas.
There aren't.
No, well, the district could embark on a capital improvement project, and you can make a determination as to, again, which properties benefit, especially and particularly and peculiarly from that project. And you can say all the properties adjacent to it benefit, then you may be able to have an assessment either on a front foot basis or square footage basis. But if the idea is to benefit all the properties in Gateway, then it'd be difficult to say that only these people have to pay that cost.
But
I
we
would
do,
think
but we do
that
nothing, the
there are
developer
other
has
areas
to
in
pay.
Gateway also where things haven't been developed, so
Right.
sidewalks stop.
Right
Yeah,
down here.
here's part of the rationale for that. The counties and cities wait typically until there's a development order or a permit for something else.
Right.
And part of the rationale for that is if you put in a sidewalk today in an undeveloped parcel, when the developer comes in, you're going to be having all this heavy equipment, you're going to crush the sidewalk, it's going to be reconstructed or rebuilt. I mean, I think that's part of the rationale that some local governments utilize.
I'm waiting to hear back from the city.
Okay.
I mean, they have road impact fees that there's no, I mean, you can always call your city council person to, encourage them to do this and how it would benefit your community. I would strongly encourage you to do that. But I'm waiting to hear back from the city. I do think that we may be on the hook for a small portion along the frontage of that flowway there because of, so
Right.
we may have to do our part, but that's going to be smaller in the grand scheme of it, so.
12 feet at the max.
Yeah.
So we'll just wait to hear from what the engineer says.
It's all doable, the question is who pays for it.
Yep.
And we have a dollar amount
Then I've also,
next Wednesday. Donna's gonna be at the firehouse.
oh, that's right.
So next Wednesday night, we'll bring it up there too.
And then the Sherman Soccer Complex. Ben, we've had discussions during the budget time about that and whatever. And I'm not for this year's budget, nothing for this year's budget. Just leave everything the way it is. But looking forward, I think, my personal opinion is that I think we need to start looking at that as a profit generator, the soccer complex. And I would like to be able to get a 3%, at least a 3% return on investment there. So I was wondering if maybe in the next couple workshops that we could have staff bring us ideas. Maybe the Cadillac idea, the Chevy idea, and the Pinto idea.
I like to be
As to-
flat. Like, you're looking at 3%, I
Well-
just want to break even at this point. But 3%, I'm in. You tell me where to go.
Well, I think it's not going to be a simple idea. I think there'll be many component parts. But I think if next year at this time, we want to at least break even, and maybe the year after start making money on it, we've got to start figuring this out now. And it's a large asset to the district, and I just think it wouldn't hurt us to start right after we adopt this budget and start doing workshops on what can we do there, how much is it going to cost, what kind of revenue can we get back. It'll be a big project for the staff to take on. But I think it's time to do it now.
That's it? Ed?
She's been dreaming. I want some of the stuff you're drinking.
Water. Water, buddy, water.
I don't think there's any way in hell you're ever gonna make money off that deal, but anyway, I don't have anything.
All right.
Well, if that's the goal, you can find a way.
You guys, Bob?
I get two small things. First, Ed Hedges took it upon himself, he's deep background, to research the easements related to aeration. This was a Chelsea request, and I believe he did a yeoman's job on it. And so all of the easements for our cabinets, our electrical lines and all that stuff will soon be part of our Pelican GIS map. The second thing is, what is the current status of the admin building? Are we ahead of schedule, behind schedule?
We're on schedule. They're still shooting for April completion. We have hit some hiccups, obviously with the rains and trying to pour footers. You're going to start to see the playground go up this month, and they're plugging along. So.
Okay, I know we talked one time about an amphitheater as a. Did we just defer the discussion?
Phase.
That's future
Okay.
phases.
So it's not a current thing
No.
until we get past the budget.
It's not.
And down
Okay, no, you just- okay.
2780.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Okay. Just two requests, if we, because I know you talked about e-bikes and motorcycles, that the county sheriff's office, and I think I sent it to you, the county sheriff's office just put out a presentation video. So I would share that, it's an educational video telling like, you know, what they can do, what they cannot do. If you could share that on our website and on Instagram, that'd be great. Question, when we were doing the lake bank restoration, I know we kind of talked about this, I talked about with Daniel. What type of sod are we replacing it with?
It's supposed to be palmetto.
What type of sod they're using?
Better be using Floritown.
Well, wait, Floritan is what they currently have, but Floritan is what is sensitive to the sugarcane mosaic.
Well, they could use one of the,
So palmetto is the same
that's
price,
Citra
and
Blue.
I just want to, Citra Blue is more expensive.
Palmetto is more expensive than Floritan, because I just had the same conversation with Met Power for the meter box replacement project.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge you on that one because there's only two vendors.
My doctor ophthalmologist.
There's two vendors on this side.
Send me those,
There's
please.
two vendors that provide for this side of Florida, they can certify, because a lot of people say yes, palmetto, but you really don't know unless you have the DNA of the plant tested. So there are only currently two vendors in Florida that can provide it. Excuse me, do you mind taking that call outside?
so, but anyway, it's,
Send me those two vendors,
So those
please.
are two vendors, and the price is the same.
The only
They
one
do
you
have a minimum, the only difference is that they do require a minimum order, so it has to be at least a tray, a semi-tray.
That's what they ordered.
That's what you order anyways. Because what's happening is, the more and more I see in the communities, when it starts getting cooler,
Okay, so.
within 1 year of changing that sod values a lot faster than the turnaround that they're doing. So if we're spending the money, I want us to go ahead with the palmetto, so we don't have to worry about it.
Send me, the only vendor that they found was on the East Coast, so
It is,
send
it's from West Palm Beach.
me, send me the two vendors that you have.
Okay.
this is palmetto, not Citra Blue.
No, not Citra Blue is a lot more expensive. And Citra Blue has some issues that wouldn't be good for us because it grows into a patchy-like carpet if you have too many nitrates in the water, and we do because so it's not, for Gateway, it's not a good, palmetto would be our best one. I just don't want us to spend the money
Yeah.
a year down the road when the homeowner says.
What you mean on just straight Floritown?
Exactly. Okay, that's all I have. So, all right, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Steve, thank you.
Thank you.
We need signatures.
2 or 1?
My machine while I was here. So next Thursday.
Just one.
Yeah.